When my daughter-in-law Jessica deliberately excluded me from every single wedding photograph at my son's ceremony and whispered to the photographer that I was just some random old lady who wandered in from the street, she had no idea that this supposedly harmless 70-year-old retired bank executive was actually the primary trustee of the $2.3 million family trust fund that was financing their entire honeymoon to Europe, and that I was about to use 40 years of financial management expertise and ironclad legal authority to freeze every penny of their vacation fund while teaching her the most expensive lesson about family respect and strategic thinking that... Before I tell you how a woman who spent 4 decades managing high-stakes financial portfolios and building bulletproof trust structures used comprehensive legal documentation and systematic financial controls to turn a wedding day humiliation into the most devastating financial lesson in our county's social history, tell me in the comments if you've ever had someone disrespect you so completely that they basically handed you everything you needed to teach them an unforgettable lesson. And if this story of calculated financial justice resonates with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button because tomorrow I have another incredible story about why you should. My name is Margaret Maggie Thornfield. I'm 70 years old, and I'm about to tell you how my entitled, social-climbing daughter-in-law Jessica, who had spent the last 2 years systematically excluding me from family events while positioning herself as the sophisticated new matriarch who didn't need input from outdated older generations, made the catastrophic mistake of publicly humiliating someone who had spent her entire career learning how to control financial resources with surgical precision and legal authority that could eliminate someone's financial security with a single phone call to the right attorney. To understand how Jessica's wedding day power play would ultimately trigger the most comprehensive financial devastation in Thornfield family history, you need to understand exactly how my relationship with my son Marcus had developed over 34 years of mutual respect and collaborative financial planning, and how a woman who appeared to be the perfect daughter-in-law gradually revealed herself to be the most financially dangerous social climber that anyone in our family had ever encountered. Marcus hadn't always been vulnerable to the kind of systematic social manipulation and family isolation that Jessica would eventually employ to gain control over his lifestyle decisions and social priorities. For most of his adult life, my son had been genuinely independent, professionally successful, and obviously committed to maintaining strong family relationships while building his own career in architectural design and personal identity without depending on family financial support or inherited advantages to achieve his professional goals and social recognition. But more importantly, Marcus had always understood that our family's substantial financial resources came with both privileges and responsibilities that required collaborative decision-making and mutual respect for the values and relationships that had built our wealth over multiple generations. He knew that access to family trust funds and financial support was contingent on maintaining family unity and demonstrating the kind of character and judgment that would preserve, rather than squander, the assets that previous generations had worked to accumulate. The Thornfield family fortune hadn't been built overnight or through lucky inheritance. It had been systematically developed through 3 generations of careful investment, strategic business decisions, and most importantly, unwavering commitment to family unity and respect for the wisdom that comes from experience and long-term thinking, rather than the impulsive social climbing and short-term gratification that characterizes people like Jessica, who believe they can manipulate their way into established wealth without understanding the values and relationships that sustain it. My grandfather, Harold Thornfield, had established the family's financial foundation through systematic real estate investment and construction development during the post-World War II building boom in our metropolitan area. His approach had been characterized by conservative financial management, long-term strategic thinking, and absolute commitment to building assets that would provide security and opportunity for future generations, rather than immediate gratification and social status that might impress contemporary observers, but would ultimately compromise the family's long-term stability and growth potential. My father, Richard Thornfield, had expanded the family's financial resources through systematic investment in emerging technology companies and strategic partnerships with established financial institutions that provided both income growth and professional networking that enhanced our family's influence and resource access throughout the regional business community. But perhaps most importantly, he had established the legal structures and trust fund arrangements that would protect family wealth from exactly the kind of social manipulation and financial exploitation that Jessica would eventually attempt. The family trust structures that I had inherited responsibility for managing weren't simple inheritance arrangements or traditional estate planning. They were sophisticated legal frameworks designed to ensure that family wealth continued to serve family values and unity across multiple generations, while providing substantial lifestyle support for family members who demonstrated character, integrity, and commitment to the relationships and principles that had built our financial security and social influence. But what made the trust arrangements particularly powerful was their emphasis on discretionary authority and immediate termination protocols that could eliminate access to family resources within hours of documented violations of family respect and unity requirements. The legal structures had been specifically designed to prevent manipulation, social climbing, and systematic disrespect that might compromise family relationships or enable outsiders to gain access to resources they hadn't earned through character and long-term commitment to family values. Marcus had grown up understanding these principles and had always demonstrated the kind of character and family loyalty that justified continued access to trust fund resources and financial support for major life events like education, career development, home ownership, and eventually, wedding celebrations and honeymoon experiences that would enhance rather than compromise his personal happiness and family relationships. The relationship between Marcus and me had been built on complete transparency about family finances, trust fund arrangements, and the legal structures that governed access to substantial resources that could support lifestyle choices and major expenditures, like the elaborate wedding celebration and European honeymoon that Jessica had been planning as her introduction to the social circles and luxury lifestyle that she believed marriage to Marcus would automatically provide. What Jessica had never bothered to research about the supposedly obsolete old woman she decided to exclude from family celebrations was that Margaret Thornfield wasn't just some retired grandmother living on a modest pension, but a former senior vice president of trust and estate management at First National Bank, who had spent 40 years building and protecting family wealth for high-net-worth clients while developing exactly the kind of legal expertise and financial authority that could destroy someone's lifestyle and social aspirations with systematic precision and permanent consequences. My career at First National Bank hadn't been ordinary customer service or administrative work. It had been specialized expertise in managing complex family trusts, estate planning, and generational wealth transfer that required sophisticated understanding of legal structures, financial controls, and systematic approaches to ensuring that family resources were protected from exactly the kind of social climbing and manipulative behavior that Jessica would eventually display when she believed she had successfully gained access to Thornfield family assets. The position of Senior Vice President of Trust and Estate Management represented the culmination of a 40-year career that had begun in 1982 when I graduated from Northwestern University's Kellogg School of Management with a master's degree in finance, and immediately joined First National Bank's management training program for high-potential candidates who demonstrated both analytical capability and the interpersonal skills necessary for managing relationships with wealthy families and their complex financial arrangements. The early years of my banking career had provided comprehensive training in investment management, legal compliance, and client relationship development that established the foundation for understanding how family wealth functions and what systematic approaches are most effective for preserving and growing financial resources across multiple generations, while maintaining family unity and preventing the kind of internal conflicts that destroy both relationships and assets. But perhaps most importantly, those foundational years had provided extensive exposure to family dysfunction and systematic manipulation that taught me to recognize the behavioral patterns and strategic approaches that characterize people who attempt to gain access to established wealth through marriage, social manipulation, and systematic disrespect for the values and relationships that actually sustain financial resources and family stability over extended periods. During my first decade at First National, I had been responsible for managing trust fund distributions and investment oversight for approximately 50 high-net-worth families whose combined assets exceeded $500 million, and whose wealth management requirements included everything from routine monthly stipends to major expenditure approvals for real estate purchases, business investments, and elaborate lifestyle events that required careful evaluation to ensure consistency with family values and long-term financial sustainability. The client families included old money dynasties with wealth dating back multiple generations, newly wealthy entrepreneurs who had built substantial fortunes through business development and strategic investment, and inherited wealth situations where family members had received substantial assets through estate transfers, but lacked the experience and judgment necessary for independent financial management without professional oversight and systematic guidance. What made my role particularly challenging and professionally rewarding was the systematic analysis required for evaluating family dynamics and identifying potential threats to wealth preservation, including gold diggers, social climbers, and manipulative individuals who specialized in targeting wealthy families through strategic relationship development and systematic emotional manipulation designed to gain access to financial resources while undermining the family unity and collaborative decision-making that preserved wealth across generations. The most sophisticated threats often appeared as ideal romantic partners who possessed attractive personal qualities, professional credentials, and social skills that initially impressed family members and seemed to enhance rather than threaten family relationships and social standing. But systematic observation and behavioral analysis could reveal manipulation patterns and strategic objectives that indicated financial exploitation rather than genuine romantic interest and family commitment. Dr. Patricia Williams, a forensic psychologist who specialized in family dynamics and wealth-related relationship manipulation, had provided consulting services for our trust management department and had taught me to recognize the subtle behavioral indicators that distinguished genuine family integration from systematic social climbing and financial manipulation that might not become obvious until significant damage had been done to family relationships and asset security. The most dangerous threats to family wealth often appear as perfect additions to the family because they understand exactly what behaviors and attitudes will create positive first impressions. Dr. Williams had explained during professional development sessions that enhanced my ability to protect client families from systematic manipulation and financial exploitation. Success in identifying these threats requires systematic observation of behavior patterns over extended periods and careful analysis of motivations and strategic objectives that may not be obvious during initial relationship development. The training had been invaluable for understanding how people like Jessica operated, and what systematic approaches would be most effective for documenting their behavior patterns and implementing protective measures before significant damage could be done to family relationships and financial security. During my second decade at First National, I had been promoted to Director of Family Wealth Services with expanded responsibility for the bank's most complex and high-value trust management relationships, including families whose assets exceeded $50 million and whose wealth preservation requirements included sophisticated estate planning, multi-generational tax strategies, and systematic protection against legal challenges and family manipulation that could compromise asset security and family unity. The advanced position required comprehensive understanding of estate law, tax optimization, investment strategy, and family psychology that enabled me to provide sophisticated guidance for protecting and growing wealth while maintaining family relationships and ensuring that financial resources continued to serve family values and objectives across multiple generations. But perhaps most importantly, the senior role provided systematic exposure to the most sophisticated wealth-related threats and manipulation schemes, including criminal conspiracies, elaborate legal challenges, and systematic family manipulation campaigns that required advanced detection techniques and comprehensive legal responses to prevent successful asset theft and family destruction. One particularly complex case had involved a family where a newly married daughter-in-law had attempted to gain control over a $75 million family trust through systematic manipulation of her elderly father-in-law, gradual isolation of other family members, and strategic legal challenges designed to modify trust structures and beneficiary arrangements in ways that would provide her with immediate access to substantial assets while eliminating oversight and protective measures that prevented systematic exploitation. The scheme had been particularly sophisticated because it included comprehensive manipulation of family relationships, strategic development of apparent legitimacy through charitable activities and social involvement, and systematic documentation of supposed family dysfunction that could support legal challenges to existing trust arrangements and wealth management structures. The investigation and protective response had required months of systematic evidence collection, coordination with legal specialists and forensic accountants, and strategic deployment of trust fund controls and legal authority that ultimately prevented successful asset theft while preserving family relationships and demonstrating the effectiveness of well-designed wealth protection structures and professional management oversight. Margaret's systematic approach to threat detection and family wealth protection represents exactly the kind of professional expertise that enables families to maintain their assets and relationships across multiple generations, the family patriarch had written in a testimonial that became part of my professional credentials and reputation for handling the most complex and high-stakes wealth management challenges. Her understanding of both financial structures and family psychology provides comprehensive protection against the sophisticated threats that target established wealth through relationship manipulation and systematic exploitation. The case had provided comprehensive training in exactly the kind of threat assessment and systematic response that would eventually be necessary for protecting the Thornfield family assets from Jessica's social climbing and financial manipulation attempts. During my final decade at First National before retirement, I had been promoted to Senior Vice President of Trust and Estate Management with ultimate responsibility for the bank's entire wealth management division, including oversight of approximately $2.8 billion in managed assets and supervision of 43 professional staff members, who provided comprehensive financial services for our region's most prominent families and largest estates. The executive position had required systematic development of innovative wealth protection strategies and comprehensive approaches to family relationship management that could address the evolving sophistication of threats targeting established wealth through social manipulation, legal challenges, and systematic family exploitation that traditional protective measures couldn't effectively prevent or counteract. The advanced strategies had included enhanced family communication protocols, sophisticated behavioral monitoring systems, and systematic legal arrangements that could provide immediate response to emerging threats, while maintaining family privacy and relationship quality that preserved both assets and family unity across multiple generations. But perhaps most importantly, the senior executive role had provided comprehensive authority over policy development and systematic implementation of protective measures that could be adapted to address specific family circumstances and threat profiles that required customized approaches rather than standard trust management procedures that might not be sufficient for preventing sophisticated manipulation and exploitation schemes. The policy innovations that I had developed during my tenure as Senior Vice President had been adopted throughout the regional banking network, and had been recognized by industry organizations as representing best practices for family wealth protection and multi-generational asset preservation that balance security requirements with family autonomy and relationship quality. When I had transitioned to retirement 5 years earlier, the wealth management division that I had built and led had achieved the highest client satisfaction ratings and asset retention percentages in our bank's history, while maintaining perfect legal compliance and zero successful challenges to trust structures or asset protection arrangements that had been implemented under my professional oversight and strategic guidance. The professional recognition and industry reputation that I had earned through 40 years of systematic excellence in family wealth management had created continuing consultation opportunities and professional relationships that provided ongoing access to legal resources, forensic specialists, and wealth protection expertise that enhanced my personal financial security, while maintaining my ability to protect family assets from emerging threats and systematic manipulation attempts. Federal financial analyst Robert Martinez, who specialized in family wealth protection and estate security, had established systematic protocols for providing professional consultation and expert analysis for complex family situations that required advanced threat assessment and comprehensive protective responses beyond what individual families could typically access through standard legal and financial service providers. Margaret's professional background and systematic expertise in family wealth protection make her uniquely qualified to identify and respond to sophisticated threats that target established families through relationship manipulation and strategic exploitation, Martinez had explained during retirement planning consultations that maintained my access to professional resources and expert assistance. Her understanding of both financial structures and family psychology provides comprehensive capability for protecting assets and relationships from the evolving sophistication of contemporary wealth-related threats. The continuing professional relationships and expert resource access had been designed specifically to ensure that my personal and family financial security would be maintained at the highest possible level, while providing systematic capability for responding to any threats or manipulation attempts that might target Thornfield family assets through marriage relationships or social manipulation schemes. The modest lifestyle that I had maintained during my retirement years had been strategically designed to encourage exactly the kind of overconfident social climbing behavior that would eventually provide clear justification for systematic financial consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources that required demonstration of character and family loyalty rather than simple marriage relationships that could be manipulated for financial advantage. Every aspect of my public presentation had been carefully chosen to reinforce assumptions about reduced circumstances and minimal continuing influence over family financial decisions. while concealing the comprehensive legal authority and systematic financial controls that continued to operate through professional trust management and estate planning that protected family wealth from exactly the kind of systematic exploitation that Jessica represented. My daily routine during retirement had been deliberately structured to create the impression of a typical elderly woman whose activities were limited to traditional grandmother pursuits and social engagement that suggested minimal continuing relevance to contemporary financial management and family decision-making that might affect major expenditures and lifestyle support for younger generations. The morning routine that neighbors and casual observers witnessed appeared to represent exactly the kind of simple retirement lifestyle that most people associated with elderly women who had gracefully stepped back from professional responsibilities and financial authority, awakening at 7 each morning to read the local newspaper over coffee, tending to a modest flower garden behind my comfortable but unpretentious colonial house on Elmwood Avenue, and spending afternoons participating in community volunteer activities that reinforced assumptions about limited resources. And my residential choices had been particularly effective for strategic misdirection because the comfortable but modest 2-story colonial house that I had chosen for retirement appeared to represent exactly the kind of scaling down and lifestyle simplification that most people expected from elderly women who were managing limited retirement income and gradually reducing their involvement in complex financial management and business activities that required sophisticated thinking and strategic capability. The house itself was well maintained and appropriately decorated, but deliberately modest in ways that discouraged assumptions about substantial continuing wealth or ongoing involvement in high-level financial management and estate planning activities that might suggest systematic access to significant resources and legal authority that could affect major family financial decisions and lifestyle support arrangements. The landscaping was neat and attractive but simple. The exterior was recently painted but in conservative colors that suggested practical maintenance rather than substantial investment in impressive display, and the overall presentation reinforced every stereotype about elderly women who were content with comfortable simplicity rather than continuing involvement in competitive environments, where strategic thinking and professional expertise might provide significant advantages. But what visitors to my Elmwood Avenue house couldn't see was the sophisticated home office that occupied the converted bedroom on the second floor, where I maintained comprehensive filing systems for family financial management, professional-grade communication equipment for consulting with legal specialists and financial advisors, and computer systems with specialized software for monitoring trust fund performance and analyzing family financial arrangements that required ongoing oversight and strategic management. The office included secure storage for sensitive family financial documents, professional-grade recording equipment for documenting important conversations and legal consultations, and communication systems that provided immediate access to banking personnel, legal specialists, and financial advisors who could provide expert analysis and strategic guidance for complex family wealth management situations that required professional coordination and systematic response. The financial management workspace also included multiple computer systems with secure connections to banking networks, investment monitoring services, and legal databases that provided real-time access to account information, market analysis, and legal resources that enabled comprehensive oversight of family financial arrangements and immediate response to emerging threats or unauthorized activities that might compromise asset security or family financial stability. But perhaps most importantly, the home office included comprehensive communication systems that could provide immediate contact with trust fund administrators, legal specialists, and financial consultants who could implement emergency protective measures and systematic asset controls within hours of documented threats or manipulation attempts that violated family unity requirements or demonstrated behavior patterns that justified immediate termination of financial support and resource access. The transportation choices that I had made during retirement provided additional layers of strategic misdirection that reinforced assumptions about limited resources and reduced lifestyle expectations while concealing the reality that modest presentation had been deliberately chosen to encourage overconfident behavior from potential threats who might underestimate my continuing financial authority and legal capability for systematic retaliation against manipulation and disrespectful behavior. I drove a 7-year-old Toyota Camry with conservative appearance and practical features that suggested careful budget management and traditional elderly priorities for reliable transportation, rather than status display or professional presentation that might indicate substantial financial resources or continuing involvement in high-level business activities and strategic financial management. The vehicle choice was particularly effective misdirection because it encouraged assumptions about fixed income limitations and reduced lifestyle expectations while concealing the reality that I could easily afford any car I wanted but had chosen modest transportation as part of comprehensive strategic presentation designed to prevent potential threats from accurately assessing my financial capabilities and legal authority over family resources. When Jessica or other family members saw me driving my practical Toyota to grocery stores with carefully prepared shopping lists and discount store preferences, they automatically reinforced their assumptions about my reduced circumstances and limited continuing influence over family financial decisions, without recognizing that the woman behind the wheel was someone who controlled millions of dollars in family assets and possessed the legal authority to eliminate their financial support with a single phone call to the appropriate banking personnel. My social activities and community involvement had been strategically selected to reinforce assumptions about traditional elderly volunteer work and charitable activities, while actually providing systematic opportunities for maintaining professional relationships and gathering intelligence about potential threats that might require protective intervention or systematic response through legal channels and financial authority. The volunteer work at Riverside Community Center appeared to represent exactly the kind of charitable involvement that people expected from retired women who wanted to contribute to their communities through service, rather than continuing professional engagement with competitive environments or strategic activities that might require sophisticated thinking and systematic planning capability. But the community center activities actually provided regular contact with other retired professionals, including former attorneys, banking executives, and financial advisors who maintained current knowledge of legal developments and wealth management strategies that enhanced my understanding of emerging threats and protective measures that might be necessary for maintaining family asset security and relationship stability. Dr. Sarah Chen, a retired estate planning attorney who had served as legal counsel for several prominent families during her professional career, provided informal consultation and strategic guidance during our weekly volunteer activities that maintained my access to current legal expertise and professional analysis of family wealth protection strategies that could address contemporary threats and manipulation schemes. The community center volunteer work provides excellent cover for maintaining professional relationships and strategic intelligence gathering, Dr. Chen had explained during discussions about retirement planning and continuing involvement in wealth protection activities. People assume we're just elderly volunteers doing charitable work, but we're actually maintaining some of the most sophisticated professional networks and expert resource access available in our metropolitan area. The volunteer activities also provided systematic opportunities for observing social dynamics and relationship patterns that enhanced my understanding of how manipulation and social climbing operated in contemporary family situations, including the behavioral indicators and strategic approaches that characterized people who targeted established families for financial exploitation through marriage relationships and systematic family manipulation. Mrs. Elizabeth Morrison, a 74-year-old community center participant whose daughter-in-law had attempted systematic family manipulation and financial exploitation through strategic relationship development and gradual isolation of other family members, had shared detailed information about manipulation techniques and warning signs that confirmed my growing concerns about Jessica's behavioral patterns and strategic objectives. The systematic way they begin excluding family members from social activities and important events is always one of the first warning signs, Mrs. Morrison had explained during conversations about family relationship challenges and protective measures that might be necessary for preventing successful manipulation and financial exploitation. They want to establish themselves as the new center of family attention, while gradually eliminating the influence and oversight of people who might recognize their true motivations and strategic objectives. The intelligence gathering and professional relationship maintenance that appeared to be simple volunteer work and charitable activities actually provided comprehensive preparation for identifying and responding to systematic threats, while maintaining the strategic camouflage that encouraged overconfident behavior from potential manipulators who believed they were dealing with harmless elderly women rather than experienced professionals who possessed expert knowledge and systematic capability for protecting family assets and relationships. What made Jessica's systematic disrespect and social climbing particularly catastrophic was her complete failure to understand the legal structures and financial arrangements that governed access to Thornfield family resources, including the sophisticated trust fund systems and discretionary authority protocols that could eliminate her lifestyle support and financial security with immediate effect and permanent consequences that would demonstrate exactly what happens when someone attempts to manipulate family relationships while disrespecting the people who control the assets that fund their entire The Thornfield family trust hadn't been established as simple inheritance planning or traditional estate management. It was a sophisticated legal framework designed to ensure that family wealth continued to serve family values and unity across multiple generations, while providing substantial lifestyle support for family members who demonstrated character, integrity, and commitment to the relationships and principles that had built our financial security and social influence throughout our regional community. The trust structure included multiple components and systematic controls that provided both flexibility for supporting legitimate family needs and immediate termination authority for addressing behavior that violated family unity requirements or demonstrated manipulation and disrespect that might compromise the values and relationships that sustained wealth preservation and family stability over extended periods. The primary family trust controlled approximately $12.7 million in diversified assets, including real estate holdings, investment portfolios, and business partnerships that provided systematic income generation and long-term growth potential that enhanced family financial security while maintaining liquidity for supporting major family expenditures and lifestyle enhancements that contributed to individual happiness and family relationship quality. But more importantly, the primary trust included comprehensive beneficiary requirements and systematic oversight protocols that ensured family resources were used to enhance rather than compromise family unity and mutual respect that preserved both assets and relationships across multiple generations, while preventing exploitation by individuals who might attempt to gain access to wealth without demonstrating genuine commitment to family values and long-term relationship development. The Wedding and Lifestyle Support Trust represented a specialized component of the family wealth management system that had been established specifically to provide financial support for major life events and lifestyle enhancement that would contribute to family member happiness and social development, while maintaining systematic oversight and immediate termination authority if beneficiaries violated family respect and unity requirements. This specialized trust component controlled approximately $2.3 million in liquid assets that were designated for supporting wedding celebrations, honeymoon experiences, real estate purchases, and other major expenditures that would enhance family member lifestyle and social development, while demonstrating family financial capability and social standing throughout our community's most prominent social circles. But what made the Wedding and Lifestyle Support Trust particularly powerful as a protective mechanism was its emphasis on discretionary authority and character-based qualification requirements that could eliminate access to financial support within hours of documented violations of family respect and unity standards that were essential for maintaining the relationships and values that sustained wealth preservation and family stability. The trust legal documents included specific language about family unity requirements and systematic respect for family relationships and wisdom that had built and preserved wealth across multiple generations. Access to trust fund resources required demonstration of character and family loyalty that went beyond simple marriage relationships or legal family status, to include ongoing behavior and attitude that supported, rather than undermined, family cohesion and mutual respect. The discretionary authority provisions provided me, as primary trustee, with complete legal authority to evaluate beneficiary behavior and family relationship development, to determine whether continued access to trust fund resources was consistent with family values and unity preservation that justified ongoing financial support and lifestyle enhancement through family wealth. But perhaps most importantly, the trust structures included immediate termination protocols that could eliminate access to family financial resources within hours of documented behavior that violated family respect requirements, or demonstrated manipulation and systematic disrespect that threatened family unity and relationship quality that preserved wealth and maintained family social standing and influence. The legal authority for immediate termination didn't require extended legal proceedings or complex judicial review. It could be implemented through simple notification to banking personnel and trust fund administrators, who would immediately freeze access to designated accounts and terminate ongoing financial support arrangements that had been provided based on family member status and presumed commitment to family values and relationship quality. Jessica had never bothered to research or understand these legal structures and financial arrangements because she had apparently assumed that marriage to Marcus would automatically provide access to family wealth, without systematic requirements for demonstrating character and family commitment that went beyond legal relationship status to include ongoing behavior and attitude that supported family unity and mutual respect. The wedding planning process had provided numerous opportunities for Jessica to demonstrate family respect and collaborative relationship development that would have justified continued access to trust fund resources and lifestyle support. Instead, her systematic exclusion of family members and obvious priority for social status over family relationships had provided comprehensive documentation of behavior patterns that violated trust fund requirements and justified immediate protective intervention. What Jessica had never suspected during her systematic campaign of family exclusion and social climbing was that every instance of disrespectful behavior and strategic manipulation had been systematically documented through professional-grade evidence collection and behavioral analysis that would provide comprehensive justification for immediate termination of financial support and permanent exclusion from family resources that required demonstration of character and family loyalty rather than simple marriage relationships. The documentation process hadn't been casual record-keeping for personal reference, but rather professional-grade evidence collection that included detailed behavioral observations, systematic pattern analysis, and comprehensive supporting documentation that could meet legal standards for trust fund management and beneficiary evaluation that would support immediate protective action and permanent consequences for violation of family unity requirements. My professional background in family wealth protection and systematic threat assessment had provided exactly the expertise necessary for recognizing manipulation patterns and documenting evidence that would support comprehensive legal action and financial consequences that would eliminate Jessica's access to family resources while providing permanent deterrent against similar behavior by other potential threats to family unity and asset security. The evidence collection had included systematic monitoring of Jessica's social media activities, comprehensive documentation of her exclusion tactics and family manipulation attempts, and detailed analysis of her communication patterns and behavioral choices that revealed strategic objectives focused on social climbing and financial advantage rather than genuine family integration and relationship development. The systematic documentation had also included professional consultation with Dr. Patricia Williams, the forensic psychologist who specialized in family dynamics and wealth-related relationship manipulation, who had provided expert analysis of Jessica's behavior patterns and strategic objectives that confirmed systematic manipulation rather than normal adjustment challenges or personality conflicts that might be resolved through improved communication and mutual understanding. Jessica's systematic exclusion of family members from social activities and important events demonstrates classic manipulation patterns that are designed to establish control and eliminate oversight rather than build genuine family relationships. Dr. Williams had explained during professional consultation sessions that provided expert analysis and strategic guidance for protective intervention. The behavioral evidence indicates comprehensive planning for gaining access to family resources while systematically undermining the relationships and values that sustain family unity and wealth preservation. The expert analysis had provided professional confirmation that Jessica's behavior represented systematic threat to family wealth and relationship stability rather than normal family adjustment challenges, justifying immediate protective intervention through trust fund controls and systematic termination of financial support that would prevent successful manipulation and exploitation. But perhaps most importantly, the systematic documentation process had included comprehensive legal consultation with estate planning specialists and trust fund management experts, who had confirmed that the evidence collected would provide sufficient justification for immediate termination of beneficiary access and permanent exclusion from family financial resources under the discretionary authority provisions that protected family wealth from manipulation and systematic exploitation. The legal consultation had included detailed review of trust fund documents, analysis of beneficiary requirement language, and strategic planning for implementing immediate protective measures that would eliminate Jessica's access to family resources while maintaining legal compliance and ensuring that protective action would withstand any potential challenges or legal proceedings that might be initiated in response to financial consequences. Margaret Thornfield had spent 40 years building exactly the kind of professional expertise and systematic documentation capability that would enable comprehensive protection of family wealth from social climbing and manipulation, and Jessica had provided every piece of evidence necessary for implementing the most devastating financial consequences that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. The foundation had been comprehensive, the evidence had been systematic, and the legal authority had been absolute, creating exactly the kind of devastating response capability that would soon demonstrate to Jessica why publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their powerlessness and irrelevance could be the most expensive social mistake that anyone in the pursuit of wealth and status could ever make. Have you ever watched someone make such a catastrophic miscalculation about who actually controlled the resources they were trying to access? Drop a comment below and let me know, because this story is just getting started, and Jessica is about to learn that wedding photos are the least of your problems when you disrespect someone who controls the family financial resources that fund your entire lifestyle and social aspirations. If you want to see how this systematic financial justice unfolds and hear more stories about people who discovered the hard way that real power often operates quietly until someone forces it into devastating action, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow's story features a young social climber who thought she could manipulate a confused elderly widow's estate planning. Spoiler alert, she learned exactly why that was the worst financial decision of her entire gold-digging career. The foundation has been established, the evidence has been collected, and Jessica's complete misunderstanding of family financial structures and legal authority would soon trigger the most systematic financial devastation that anyone in our social circle had ever witnessed. The quiet retirement lifestyle that had lulled her into overconfidence was about to become the perfect cover for trust fund management and legal consequences that would demonstrate exactly what happens when you humiliate someone whose professional expertise and systematic authority was specifically designed to protect family wealth from people exactly like you. Jessica Caldwell entered our lives on a crisp October evening in 2022, when Marcus brought her to our regular Sunday dinner with obvious excitement and the kind of nervous energy that suggested he was genuinely smitten with someone he hoped would make a positive impression on his family. At first glance, Jessica appeared to be exactly the kind of sophisticated, accomplished woman that I had always hoped Marcus might find. Professionally successful, socially confident, and apparently interested in building genuine relationships rather than simply pursuing romantic involvement for personal advantage. The initial introduction had been carefully orchestrated by Marcus, who had clearly prepared Jessica for the meeting and had obviously emphasized the importance of family relationships in his life and decision-making processes. Jessica arrived at my Elmwood Avenue house, carrying a beautiful bouquet of autumn flowers and a bottle of expensive wine that suggested both thoughtfulness and good taste, while her professional attire and confident demeanor indicated someone who was comfortable in social situations and understood appropriate behavior for significant family introductions. "Mom, I'd like you to meet Jessica Caldwell," Marcus had said with obvious pride and enthusiasm as he guided her into my living room for the formal introduction. Jessica works as a marketing director at Riverside Medical Center, and she's been incredibly patient with my stories about our family traditions and Sunday dinner conversations. "I thought it was time for you two to meet and get to know each other." Jessica had responded to the introduction with exactly the right combination of respect and confidence, demonstrating social skills that suggested genuine sophistication rather than superficial charm, designed to create false impressions or manipulate family dynamics for personal advantage. Her initial conversation had been engaging and appropriate, showing interest in family history and traditions while sharing relevant information about her own background and professional experience that provided foundation for relationship development and mutual understanding. "Mrs. Thornfield, Marcus has told me so much about your banking career and the wonderful family relationship you've built together," Jessica had said during our initial conversation, using language that indicated genuine appreciation for family dynamics rather than strategic positioning for advantage. "I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better and learning more about the family traditions and experiences that have been so important to Marcus's development and happiness." The early conversation had touched on Jessica's professional background in healthcare marketing, her educational experience at Northwestern University's marketing program, and her involvement in community volunteer activities that suggested both professional competence and social responsibility that aligned with family values and community engagement that we had always prioritized and encouraged. Jessica had explained that her role as marketing director at Riverside Medical Center involved developing strategic communication campaigns for healthcare services, managing community outreach programs, and coordinating educational initiatives that promoted health awareness and medical service accessibility throughout our metropolitan area. The position required sophisticated understanding of communication strategies, community relationship management, and professional coordination that indicated capability and achievement that impressed both Marcus and me during initial relationship evaluation. Healthcare marketing requires balancing promotional objectives with genuine community service and ethical responsibility, Jessica had explained when describing her professional role and the strategic challenges that characterized her daily work responsibilities. I really enjoy the opportunity to contribute to healthcare accessibility and community education, while building my professional expertise in strategic communication and relationship management. The professional credentials had been impressive and suggested the kind of career focus and achievement that indicated personal ambition and individual capability rather than dependency on romantic relationships or family connections for financial security and social advancement. Jessica appeared to possess exactly the kind of professional independence and personal accomplishment that would complement Marcus's architectural career without creating competitive tension or financial pressure that might compromise relationship development and long-term compatibility. During that first Sunday dinner, Jessica had demonstrated appropriate social behavior and genuine interest in family conversation topics, contributing meaningfully to discussions about community development, professional challenges, and personal interests that suggested compatibility with family values and communication styles that had characterized our relationship building and tradition maintenance for decades. The dinner conversation had ranged from current events and community issues to professional development and travel experiences, providing opportunities for Jessica to demonstrate knowledge, opinions, and social skills that revealed personality characteristics and value systems that would affect long-term relationship compatibility and family integration potential. Jessica had shared interesting stories about healthcare marketing campaigns and community outreach projects that had contributed to improved medical service accessibility and health education throughout our regional community. Her professional experiences had included coordination with medical professionals, community organizations, and government agencies that required diplomatic skills and strategic thinking that suggested capability for handling complex social situations and professional challenges. One of our most successful campaigns involved developing educational materials about preventative care services that reduced emergency room visits by 15% among elderly community members. Jessica had explained during conversation about professional achievements and community impact that had demonstrated both career competence and social responsibility. The project required extensive coordination with medical staff, community centers, and local media outlets to ensure accurate information and effective distribution that actually reached the target populations. The professional accomplishments had been genuinely impressive and had suggested systematic thinking and project management capabilities that indicated intelligence and competence that would enhance, rather than complicate, family relationships and social dynamics throughout long-term partnership development and community involvement. But looking back with the analytical expertise that 40 years of family wealth protection had provided, I now recognize that Jessica's initial presentation had included several subtle warning signs that should have triggered more careful evaluation and systematic observation, rather than the positive assessment that I had offered based on apparent compatibility, and Marcus's obvious happiness with relationship development that seemed to enhance rather than threaten family dynamics and individual growth. The first subtle warning sign had been Jessica's systematic questions about family financial arrangements and lifestyle considerations that went beyond normal curiosity about family background and security, to include specific inquiries about asset management, investment strategies, and inheritance planning that seemed unusually detailed for someone who had been dating Marcus for only a few months and had no legitimate need for understanding family financial structures or wealth management approaches. Marcus mentioned that you had a successful banking career and have been really strategic about family financial planning. Jessica had said during conversation that I had initially interpreted as normal interest in family background, rather than intelligence gathering about asset values and financial structures that could affect her long-term strategic planning and relationship objectives. I think it's wonderful when families can build real financial security and plan effectively for future generations. Have you found that professional financial management makes a significant difference in wealth preservation and growth potential? The questions had been phrased as professional curiosity and admiration for financial planning expertise, but they had included terminology and concepts that suggested more sophisticated understanding of wealth management and estate planning than most people possessed, without professional involvement in financial services or systematic research into family wealth structures and inheritance arrangements that could affect personal financial planning and strategic relationship development. The second warning sign had been Jessica's immediate and obvious interest in family social connections and community influence that went beyond normal curiosity about social background to include strategic questions about family relationships with prominent community members, professional networks, and social organizations that could provide access to influential circles and advancement opportunities for personal and professional benefit. I'd love to learn more about the community organizations and social activities that your family has been involved with over the years, Jessica had mentioned during conversation about family history and community engagement. Marcus mentioned that you've been connected with some really interesting people and organizations throughout your banking career and community involvement. I'm always interested in opportunities to contribute to community development and meet people who share similar values and interests. The interest had seemed like normal curiosity about family social background and community involvement, but the systematic focus on influential connections and advancement opportunities had suggested strategic thinking about relationship development and social climbing that might prioritize access and advantage over genuine community service and authentic relationship building that characterized healthy family engagement and social responsibility. The third warning sign had been Jessica's subtle but systematic efforts to position herself as Marcus's primary source of social and emotional support, despite having known him for significantly less time than many of his established friendships and professional relationships that had provided stability and guidance throughout his adult development and career advancement. Marcus and I have been talking about how important it is for couples to prioritize their relationship development and really focus on building something special together, Jessica had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like normal relationship enthusiasm, but it actually represented early positioning for systematic isolation and family manipulation that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining control over Marcus's decision-making and social priorities. The comment had been presented as healthy relationship development and romantic commitment, but it had included subtle suggestions about relationship hierarchy and priority management that could eventually lead to systematic exclusion of family and friend relationships that might provide alternative perspectives and independent advice that could interfere with manipulative influence and emotional control that predators typically employed against their targets. During the weeks following that initial dinner introduction, Jessica had implemented a carefully planned campaign to establish herself as a regular presence in our family activities, while simultaneously beginning the systematic intelligence gathering and relationship assessment that would eventually inform her strategic approach to family manipulation and resource access, that characterized her long-term objectives for financial advancement and social climbing through marriage relationship development. The early integration process had included enthusiastic participation in family gatherings and traditions, strategic expressions of appreciation for family values and relationship dynamics, and systematic efforts to demonstrate compatibility with family priorities, while actually conducting comprehensive evaluation of family financial resources and social influence that could benefit her personal advancement and lifestyle enhancement goals. Jessica had attended our next 3 Sunday dinners with obvious enjoyment and meaningful contribution to family conversation and tradition maintenance, creating positive impressions and emotional investment from both Marcus and me that would make her eventual manipulation and exclusion tactics more shocking and hurtful when they eventually emerged after she had established trust and relationship foundation that could be exploited for strategic advantage. The Thanksgiving celebration in November 2022 had provided Jessica with her first opportunity to experience extended family gathering and holiday tradition participation that revealed family relationship dynamics and social patterns that could inform her strategic planning for systematic manipulation and control that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining access to family resources and eliminating protective oversight that might interfere with financial exploitation. During the Thanksgiving gathering, Jessica had met my sister Patricia and her husband Robert, along with Marcus's cousin David and his wife Michelle, providing opportunities for family relationship observation and strategic assessment of family dynamics and communication patterns that could reveal vulnerabilities and manipulation opportunities that might support her long-term objectives for family influence and resource access. The extended family gathering had also provided Jessica with systematic exposure to family wealth indicators and lifestyle elements that revealed the scope of financial resources and social influence that could be accessed through successful relationship development and family integration, that might eventually lead to marriage and inheritance access that would enhance her financial security and social advancement far beyond what her professional income and individual resources could provide. Your family has such beautiful traditions and really impressive family relationships, Jessica had commented during the Thanksgiving celebration, using language that suggested genuine appreciation, while actually conducting strategic evaluation of family dynamics and resource indicators that could inform her systematic planning for relationship development and eventual manipulation that would serve her financial and social advancement objectives. The holiday gathering had included elaborate meal preparation and presentation that indicated substantial discretionary income and lifestyle resources, combined with comfortable family interaction and social confidence that suggested established wealth and community influence that could provide significant advantages for anyone who gained access through marriage relationships and family integration that established legitimate claims to family resource access and social network inclusion. But perhaps most importantly, the Thanksgiving celebration had provided Jessica with systematic observation opportunities for family financial management and decision-making processes that revealed the structure and authority patterns that governed family resource allocation and major expenditure approval that would eventually become crucial information for her strategic planning and manipulation attempts. During family conversation about holiday travel plans and gift-giving traditions, Jessica had observed family financial decision-making and resource allocation discussions that revealed both the scope of family wealth and the systematic approaches to collaborative planning and mutual consultation that characterized healthy family financial management and expense coordination throughout family activities and tradition maintenance. I'm really impressed by how thoughtfully your family approaches financial planning and decision-making, Jessica had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like appreciation for family organization but had actually represented intelligence gathering about financial structures and authority relationships that could affect her strategic planning for eventual resource access and family manipulation that would serve her long-term financial and social objectives. The Christmas celebration in December 2022 had provided additional opportunities for Jessica to demonstrate family integration and relationship development, while continuing her systematic intelligence gathering and strategic evaluation of family resources and social dynamics that would inform her eventual manipulation campaign and exclusion tactics that characterized her true objectives for relationship development and marriage planning. The Christmas gift exchange had revealed both family financial resources and individual relationship dynamics that provided insight into family hierarchy and emotional connections that could be exploited or manipulated for strategic advantage in future family conflicts and resource allocation discussions that might affect access to family wealth and lifestyle support. Jessica had received expensive gifts from both Marcus and me, including jewelry and luxury items that indicated family financial capability and generosity toward romantic partners, who demonstrated compatibility and relationship commitment that suggested long-term potential for family integration and mutual benefit through collaborative relationship development and tradition participation. But more importantly, Jessica had observed family gift-giving patterns and expense levels that revealed systematic approaches to family financial management and discretionary spending that indicated substantial wealth and resource flexibility that could support major lifestyle enhancements and expensive celebration events like elaborate wedding ceremonies and luxury honeymoon experiences that would enhance social status and personal advancement. Your family's generosity and thoughtfulness in gift selection really demonstrates the love and care that makes family relationships so special, Jessica had said during Christmas celebration, using language that suggested emotional appreciation while actually confirming her assessment of family financial resources and spending patterns that could inform her strategic planning for relationship development and eventual manipulation that would maximize her access to family wealth and lifestyle enhancement opportunities. By early 2023, Jessica had established herself as a regular and apparently welcome presence in family activities and traditions, demonstrating what appeared to be genuine integration and relationship development, while actually completing comprehensive intelligence gathering and strategic assessment that would inform her systematic campaign for family manipulation and resource access that would eventually escalate to the wedding day exclusion and humiliation that triggered my devastating financial response. The engagement announcement in March 2023 had seemed like natural progression of healthy relationship development and family integration, with Marcus obviously happy and confident about long-term partnership potential with someone who appeared to appreciate family values and contribute positively to family relationship dynamics and tradition maintenance. Mom, Jessica and I have decided to get married, and we're hoping for your blessing and support for our partnership, Marcus had announced during Sunday dinner gathering that had seemed like celebration of successful relationship development and family expansion, rather than the beginning of systematic manipulation and exclusion that would eventually characterize Jessica's true objectives for marriage and family resource access. The engagement had been presented as collaborative decision and mutual commitment that would enhance rather than threaten family relationships and social dynamics, with both Marcus and Jessica expressing appreciation for family support and enthusiasm for including family members in wedding planning and celebration activities that would demonstrate successful integration and relationship development. But the engagement announcement had also marked the beginning of subtle changes in Jessica's behavior and communication patterns that revealed her growing confidence about relationship security and her systematic preparation for implementing manipulation tactics that would eventually eliminate family influence and establish her control over Marcus's social priorities and decision-making processes. The first subtle change had been Jessica's gradual shift from enthusiastic family participation to strategic commentary about family relationship dynamics and traditional patterns that supposedly required modernization and adaptation to contemporary relationship standards and social expectations that prioritized marriage partnership over extended family involvement and collaborative decision-making. I think it's important for engaged couples to really focus on building their own relationship identity and establishing independence from traditional family patterns that might not be appropriate for contemporary partnership development. Jessica had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like normal relationship growth but had actually represented early positioning for systematic family exclusion and manipulation that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining control over Marcus's social priorities and resource allocation decisions. The second change had been Jessica's increasing tendency to schedule competing activities and social obligations that conflicted with established family traditions and gathering times, creating systematic pressure for Marcus to choose between family involvement and relationship priorities that positioned family connections as obstacles to overcome rather than relationships to preserve and enhance through inclusive partnership development. Marcus and I have been invited to several social events and professional networking opportunities that could really benefit his career development and our social advancement, Jessica had explained when beginning to miss family gatherings and tradition participation. I think it's important for us to prioritize activities that will enhance our professional and social development as a couple, rather than limiting ourselves to traditional family patterns that might not provide the advancement opportunities we need for long-term success. The systematic scheduling conflicts had been presented as career advancement and social development opportunities, but they had actually represented deliberate isolation tactics designed to reduce Marcus's family involvement and eliminate regular communication and relationship maintenance that might provide alternative perspectives and independent advice that could interfere with Jessica's manipulation and control objectives. The third change had been Jessica's subtle but systematic criticism of family financial management and decision-making approaches that supposedly reflected outdated thinking and conservative limitations that prevented optimal resource utilization and strategic advancement that could enhance lifestyle and social opportunities for younger generations with contemporary priorities and ambitious goals. I think your mother's financial management approaches reflect her generation's conservative thinking, but we might benefit from more aggressive investment strategies and modern wealth-building approaches that could maximize our lifestyle and advancement opportunities, Jessica had told Marcus during conversations that he had shared with me when seeking perspective on financial planning and investment strategy development. The criticism had been presented as modern financial thinking and strategic planning expertise, but it had actually represented systematic efforts to undermine family financial authority and collaborative decision-making that might interfere with Jessica's eventual plans for accessing family resources and eliminating oversight that could prevent her financial exploitation and systematic manipulation of family wealth for personal advantage. By summer 2023, Jessica's behavioral changes had become obvious enough to trigger concern about her motivations and strategic objectives, but Marcus's emotional investment in the relationship and engagement planning had made him resistant to family feedback and warning signs that might suggest manipulation rather than normal relationship development and partnership building. The wedding planning process had provided Jessica with systematic opportunities to demonstrate her true priorities and character, while revealing the scope of her social climbing ambitions and financial expectations that extended far beyond what Marcus's individual income and professional resources could support. without substantial family financial assistance and lifestyle enhancement through inheritance access and family wealth utilization. Jessica's vision for their wedding celebration had been elaborate and expensive, including luxury venue rental, professional photography and videography services, elaborate floral arrangements and decoration, designer wedding attire, and extensive catering and entertainment that would cost significantly more than Marcus's annual architectural income and would require substantial family financial support or long-term debt obligations that could affect their financial security and independence for years following the celebration. We want our wedding to be really special and memorable, something that reflects our social position and professional success, Jessica had explained when discussing wedding planning and expense considerations that exceeded reasonable budget parameters and suggested expectations about family financial support that indicated systematic planning for lifestyle enhancement and social advancement through access to family resources. The wedding expense expectations had been particularly revealing because they suggested either hidden financial resources or systematic planning to establish lifestyle precedent that would require ongoing family financial support and inheritance access that could provide the luxury and social status that Jessica's professional income couldn't independently support or sustain throughout long-term marriage and lifestyle development. But perhaps most concerning had been Jessica's systematic efforts to control wedding planning and celebration arrangements without collaborative consultation or family input about traditions and preferences that might enhance family unity and relationship inclusion, rather than serving primarily as social display and status demonstration that prioritized Jessica's advancement over family relationship development and tradition maintenance. The guest list development had revealed Jessica's strategic priorities for social networking and advancement opportunities, rather than family relationship celebration and community connection, that had always characterized family milestone events and tradition maintenance throughout our family history and social development. Jessica had systematically excluded several long-time family friends and community connections, while including numerous professional contacts and social acquaintances who could provide networking opportunities and social advancement benefits that enhanced her professional development and community influence, rather than celebrating family relationships and genuine friendship connections that had provided support and stability throughout Marcus's development and our family's social engagement. I think we should focus our guest list on people who are relevant to our current social and professional development, rather than including everyone who has historical family connections, Jessica had explained when discussing wedding invitation decisions that excluded people who had been important to family relationship development and community involvement throughout our social history and tradition maintenance. The systematic exclusion of family friends and community connections had been presented as modern wedding planning and guest list optimization, but it had actually represented deliberate elimination of people who might provide alternative perspectives and independent observations about Jessica's behavior and motivations that could interfere with her manipulation and control objectives throughout relationship development and family resource access. By fall 2023, as wedding planning intensified and celebration arrangements became more detailed and expensive, Jessica's true character and strategic objectives had become increasingly obvious to anyone who understood manipulation tactics and social climbing strategies, but Marcus's emotional investment and engagement excitement had made him resistant to family concern and warning signs that might suggest problems with relationship development and partnership compatibility. The final months before the wedding had been characterized by systematic escalation of Jessica's exclusion tactics and family manipulation attempts, including obvious efforts to limit my involvement in wedding planning and celebration preparation, while positioning herself as the primary decision-maker and authority figure for family social arrangements and financial resource allocation that would set precedent for future relationship dynamics and family hierarchy. The wedding day exclusion and photography manipulation that would eventually trigger my devastating financial response had been the culmination of months of systematic disrespect and strategic positioning that revealed Jessica's true objectives for family relationship destruction and resource access, that prioritized her social climbing and financial advantage over genuine partnership development and family unity preservation. But Jessica had made the catastrophic mistake of underestimating exactly who she was attempting to manipulate and exclude from family celebrations and tradition participation. The woman she dismissed as an outdated obstacle to her social advancement was about to demonstrate that some grandmothers control financial resources that could destroy your entire lifestyle and social aspirations, with systematic precision and permanent consequences that would serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar manipulation and family exploitation attempts. The catalyst had been established, the manipulation patterns had been documented, and Jessica's systematic disrespect and exclusion tactics were about to encounter exactly the kind of devastating financial response that would demonstrate why publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their powerlessness and irrelevance could be the most expensive social mistake anyone pursuing wealth and status through family manipulation could ever make. Have you ever watched someone gradually reveal their true character while positioning themselves for systematic manipulation and exploitation? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Because Jessica's story is about to escalate, and her wedding day behavior would provide the final evidence necessary for implementing financial consequences that would eliminate her access to family resources, while teaching her the most expensive lesson about respect and strategic thinking that anyone in our social circle had ever received. If you're following this story of family manipulation and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly how Jessica's systematic exclusion campaign escalated into the wedding day humiliation that would trigger the most comprehensive financial destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. The systematic campaign that Jessica launched, following her engagement to Marcus, represented one of the most sophisticated and methodical attempts at family manipulation and social climbing that I had encountered in 40 years of protecting family wealth from predators and opportunists. What made her approach particularly dangerous was its gradual escalation and strategic timing, designed to normalize increasingly disrespectful behavior, while positioning herself as the victim of outdated family dynamics that supposedly required modernization and adaptation to contemporary relationship standards. The campaign began in earnest during the spring of 2023, approximately 6 weeks after the engagement announcement, when Jessica started implementing subtle but systematic changes to family interaction patterns and social arrangements that would eventually eliminate my influence over Marcus's decision-making while establishing her complete control over his social priorities and financial resource allocation throughout their marriage and family relationship development. The first phase of Jessica's manipulation campaign focused on redefining family relationship boundaries and social expectations through strategic commentary and systematic pressure designed to make Marcus feel guilty about maintaining close family connections that supposedly interfered with healthy marriage development and partnership autonomy that required independence from traditional family involvement and collaborative decision-making. I've been reading about healthy marriage relationships and modern partnership development, Jessica had told Marcus during conversations that he shared with me when seeking perspective on relationship dynamics and family involvement considerations. Most relationship experts recommend that engaged couples establish clear boundaries with extended family and focus primarily on building their own relationship identity, rather than maintaining dependency patterns that might prevent authentic partnership development. The psychological manipulation had been sophisticated and strategic, using contemporary relationship terminology and apparent professional expertise to create pressure for family isolation, while positioning Jessica's demands as evidence of mature relationship thinking, rather than systematic manipulation, designed to eliminate protective oversight and independent advice that might interfere with her control objectives and financial exploitation planning. Jessica had supplemented her direct manipulation of Marcus with systematic research into relationship counseling resources and marriage preparation materials that supported her narrative about family boundary requirements and partnership independence, creating apparent legitimacy for her isolation demands while concealing her true objectives for gaining exclusive influence over Marcus's thinking and decision-making processes. Jessica showed me several articles and relationship books that explain how important it is for couples to establish their own traditions and priorities, rather than feeling obligated to maintain family patterns that might not be appropriate for their individual relationship needs. Marcus had explained when discussing Jessica's systematic pressure for reduced family involvement and tradition modification that would prioritize their marriage relationship over established family connections and collaborative problem solving. The manipulation had been particularly effective because it exploited Marcus's genuine desire to be a good partner and his natural concern about balancing family loyalty with romantic relationship development that required attention and energy throughout engagement and marriage preparation activities. But what made Jessica's approach especially insidious was her systematic use of relationship counseling concepts and marriage preparation terminology to create apparent professional legitimacy for demands that actually represented classic isolation tactics used by manipulative individuals to gain control over their target's social environment and decision-making processes. Dr. Patricia Williams, the forensic psychologist who had provided consultation throughout my banking career, had explained during our professional discussion about Jessica's behavioral patterns that this type of manipulation was characteristic of sophisticated predators who understood how to exploit contemporary relationship culture and therapeutic language to normalize abusive behavior and systematic control. The use of relationship counseling terminology and marriage preparation concepts to justify isolation demands represents a particularly sophisticated form of manipulation, Dr. Williams had explained during consultation about Jessica's systematic tactics and strategic objectives. She's essentially weaponizing healthy relationship concepts to achieve unhealthy control and manipulation that would be immediately recognizable as abusive behavior if presented without the professional terminology and apparent therapeutic legitimacy. The second phase of Jessica's campaign involved systematic scheduling conflicts and competing social obligations that forced Marcus to choose between family involvement and relationship priorities, creating ongoing pressure that gradually normalized family exclusion while positioning Jessica's demands as reasonable requests for partnership attention and romantic relationship development. The systematic scheduling had begun with strategic conflicts during our traditional Sunday dinner gatherings, where Jessica would arrange professional networking events, social obligations, or romantic activities that required Marcus's presence during family time, forcing him to cancel family plans or arrive late for gatherings that had previously provided consistent connection and communication opportunities. Jessica has been invited to several important professional events and social gatherings that could really benefit both of our careers, Marcus had explained when beginning to miss family dinners and tradition participation. She thinks it's important for us to prioritize activities that will enhance our professional development and social advancement as a couple, even if it means adjusting some family scheduling and tradition participation. The competing obligations had been strategically designed to appear legitimate and beneficial for Marcus's career and social development, making family resistance seem selfish and unreasonable, while actually implementing systematic isolation that reduced his access to alternative perspectives and independent advice that might help him recognize manipulation patterns and strategic exploitation. But perhaps most concerning was Jessica's systematic effort to reframe family traditions and gatherings as obligations and burdens, rather than opportunities for connection and mutual support, gradually changing Marcus's perception of family relationships from positive resources to competitive threats that interfered with his romantic happiness and partnership development. Jessica has helped me understand that some family expectations and traditions might actually be preventing me from fully investing in our relationship development, Marcus had mentioned during conversations about family involvement and relationship priorities. She's shown me that maintaining too much family involvement can create divided loyalty and prevent couples from building the kind of intimate partnership that's necessary for successful marriage relationships. The systematic reframing had been particularly effective because it exploited normal concerns about balancing competing relationships and social obligations, while actually implementing classic manipulation tactics designed to isolate targets from support systems and independent advice sources that might interfere with predatory control and exploitation. Jessica had also begun systematic criticism of family financial management and decision-making approaches, positioning herself as more sophisticated and contemporary in her thinking, while undermining confidence in family wisdom and collaborative problem-solving that had provided stability and guidance throughout Marcus's adult development and professional advancement. Your mother's financial approaches reflect her generation's conservative thinking, but we could probably achieve much better results with more aggressive investment strategies and modern wealth-building techniques, Jessica had told Marcus during discussions about financial planning and investment strategy that had previously involved collaborative family consultation and professional guidance. The financial criticism had been designed to establish Jessica as the primary source of strategic thinking and professional guidance, while eliminating family influence over financial decisions that could affect access to trust fund resources and inheritance planning that Jessica ultimately intended to control and exploit for her personal advancement and lifestyle enhancement. The third phase of Jessica's campaign involved direct confrontation and systematic disrespect, designed to provoke family conflict that could justify complete exclusion and permanent relationship termination that would eliminate any remaining obstacles to her control over Marcus's social environment and financial decision-making throughout their marriage and family resource access. The confrontational phase had begun during family gathering in late summer 2023, when Jessica started making pointed comments about outdated family dynamics and traditional relationship patterns that supposedly prevented healthy modern partnership development and individual growth that required independence from family influence and collaborative decision-making. I think some families have difficulty accepting when adult children grow up and develop their own priorities and relationship commitments, Jessica had announced during Sunday dinner conversation that had previously focused on positive family updates and collaborative problem-solving. It's important for married couples to establish their own autonomy and decision-making authority rather than being controlled by family expectations that don't respect their adult independence and partnership development. The comments had been strategically designed to create tension and awkwardness while positioning family relationships as inappropriate control, rather than healthy mutual support and collaborative guidance that had enhanced, rather than limited, Marcus's individual development and professional success throughout his adult life. But what made Jessica's confrontational approach particularly manipulative was her systematic use of therapeutic language and relationship counseling concepts to make family resistance appear pathological and unhealthy, while presenting her demands for complete control as evidence of mature relationship thinking and healthy boundary establishment. Jessica has been studying relationship dynamics and family systems theory, and she's helped me understand some problematic patterns in our family interaction that might be preventing healthy adult development, Marcus had explained when discussing Jessica's systematic criticism and confrontational behavior toward family relationships and tradition maintenance. The confrontational tactics had been designed to provoke defensive responses from family members that could be used to justify complete exclusion and permanent relationship termination, creating apparent legitimacy for Jessica's isolation demands, while actually implementing systematic manipulation and control that served her financial exploitation and social climbing objectives. During the fall of 2023, Jessica's confrontational behavior escalated to include direct challenges to family authority and systematic attempts to redefine family hierarchy and decision-making responsibility that would position her as the primary influence over Marcus's thinking and resource allocation throughout their marriage and family relationship development. The authority challenges had focused particularly on financial decision-making and family resource allocation, where Jessica systematically questioned family expertise and collaborative approaches while positioning herself as more qualified and contemporary in her strategic thinking and wealth management understanding. I've been researching modern wealth management strategies and investment approaches, and I think Marcus and I could achieve much better financial results through independent planning, rather than relying on traditional family financial management that might not be optimized for contemporary market conditions and advancement opportunities, Jessica had announced during family gathering that had included discussion about wedding expenses and financial planning coordination. The systematic challenges to family financial authority had been designed to establish Jessica's credibility and expertise while undermining confidence in family wisdom and collaborative decision-making that protected assets and provided strategic guidance based on decades of professional experience and successful wealth preservation throughout multiple generations. But perhaps most revealing was Jessica's obvious frustration when family financial structures and legal arrangements prevented her from gaining immediate access to resources and decision-making authority that she apparently expected to receive through marriage, relationship, and family integration that would provide lifestyle enhancement and social advancement opportunities. I don't understand why family financial arrangements are so complicated and restrictive, Jessica had complained to Marcus during conversations about trust fund structures and inheritance planning that limited spousal access and maintained family control over asset allocation and major expenditure approval. Most modern families have much simpler arrangements that provide more flexibility and autonomy for married couples to make their own financial decisions without extensive family oversight and approval requirements. Quote, "The complaints about family financial structures had revealed Jessica's true objectives for marriage and family integration, demonstrating that her primary interest involved accessing family wealth and eliminating protective oversight, rather than building genuine family relationships and contributing to family unity and tradition maintenance throughout long-term partnership development. The fourth phase of Jessica's campaign involved systematic exclusion of family members from wedding planning and celebration preparation, designed to establish her complete control over social arrangements and family relationship dynamics, while eliminating opportunities for family input and collaborative decision-making that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and financial exploitation. The exclusion tactics had begun with systematic limitation of family involvement in venue selection and celebration planning, where Jessica insisted on maintaining complete control over arrangements and vendor coordination, while rejecting family suggestions and collaborative input that had traditionally characterized family milestone celebrations and tradition development. Jessica wants to handle most of the wedding planning independently because she has specific vision and professional expertise in event coordination that will ensure everything meets her standards and social expectations, Marcus had explained when discussing reduced family involvement in wedding preparation and celebration planning. She thinks too much family input might compromise the coherent aesthetic and social presentation that she's working to achieve for our celebration and community introduction. The systematic exclusion from wedding planning had been presented as professional competence and aesthetic coordination, but it had actually represented deliberate elimination of family influence and oversight that might reveal Jessica's true priorities and strategic objectives for social climbing and financial advancement through marriage relationship exploitation. Jessica had also systematically excluded family members from pre-wedding social events and celebration activities, including engagement parties, bridal showers, and bachelor/bachelorette celebrations that traditionally provided opportunities for family relationship building and community integration that enhanced rather than threatened romantic partnership development. We've decided to keep our pre-wedding celebrations relatively small and focused on our closest friends and most important professional relationships, Jessica had announced when discussing social event planning that excluded longtime family friends and community connections. We want to prioritize people who are most relevant to our current social and professional development, rather than feeling obligated to include everyone who has historical family connections. The systematic exclusion of family friends and community connections had been designed to eliminate people who might provide alternative perspectives and independent observations about Jessica's behavior and motivations that could interfere with her manipulation and control throughout relationship development and family resource access. But perhaps most concerning was Jessica's systematic effort to redefine family social hierarchy and celebration protocols in ways that positioned her as the primary authority and decision-maker, while reducing my role and influence to peripheral participation that acknowledged her superior status and social sophistication. Jessica thinks it would be more appropriate for the celebration arrangements to reflect contemporary family dynamics and modern relationship priorities, rather than traditional patterns that might not be relevant to our generation's social expectations and partnership development, Marcus had explained when discussing modified family involvement and tradition adaptation that reduced collaborative planning and eliminated established celebration patterns. The systematic redefinition of family celebration protocols had been designed to establish precedent for Jessica's authority and control over family social arrangements, while demonstrating her ability to modify or eliminate family traditions that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and resource access. During the winter months leading up to the spring wedding, Jessica's exclusion tactics escalated to include direct challenges to my authority and systematic attempts to establish herself as the primary family matriarch and decision-maker for social arrangements and financial resource allocation that would affect future family dynamics and tradition maintenance. The authority challenges had included systematic criticism of family celebration traditions and social arrangements, where Jessica positioned established patterns as outdated and inappropriate for contemporary family dynamics and modern social expectations that required adaptation and modernization under her guidance and strategic direction. I think some of the traditional family celebration patterns reflect outdated social expectations that don't really fit with contemporary relationship culture and modern family dynamics, Jessica had announced during discussion about wedding celebration planning and family tradition modification. Marcus and I want to establish our own family traditions and social patterns that reflect our values and priorities, rather than feeling constrained by historical patterns that might not be appropriate for our lifestyle and social development. The systematic criticism of family traditions had been designed to justify complete elimination of established patterns, while positioning Jessica as the authority for creating new family social arrangements that would serve her strategic objectives for control and resource access, rather than maintaining family unity and collaborative relationship development. Jessica had also begun systematic attempts to control family communication and information flow, limiting my access to wedding planning details and celebration arrangements, while positioning herself as the primary source of information and decision-making authority for family members who wanted to participate in celebration activities and social events. Jessica prefers to coordinate most of the family communication about wedding arrangements because she has all the detailed information and vendor contacts that are necessary for effective coordination, Marcus had explained when discussing reduced family communication and collaborative planning that had traditionally characterized family milestone celebrations and community event coordination. The systematic control of family communication had been designed to eliminate opportunities for family oversight and independent evaluation of Jessica's behavior and decision-making, while establishing her authority over family social arrangements and celebration planning that would demonstrate her control and influence over family dynamics and tradition development. But what made Jessica's communication control particularly manipulative was her systematic misrepresentation of family preferences and collaborative input, where she would claim to represent family consensus while actually implementing her individual preferences and strategic objectives without genuine consultation or collaborative decision-making that respected family wisdom and relationship priorities. Jessica mentioned that the family agreed to simplify some of the traditional celebration elements to focus on more contemporary arrangements that would enhance the social presentation and community impact, Marcus had said during conversation about modified wedding plans that had never been discussed or approved through family consultation and collaborative decision-making processes. The systematic misrepresentation of family input and collaborative planning had been designed to establish legitimacy for Jessica's individual decisions while eliminating actual family involvement and oversight that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and financial resource access through marriage relationship exploitation. By early 2024, as the wedding date approached and celebration arrangements became finalized, Jessica's systematic exclusion and manipulation campaign had achieved substantial success in isolating Marcus from family influence and establishing her control over social arrangements and financial resource allocation that would affect their marriage relationship and family dynamics throughout future development and tradition maintenance. The wedding planning process had revealed Jessica's true priorities and strategic objectives, demonstrating that her primary interest involved social advancement and lifestyle enhancement, rather than genuine family integration and relationship development that would enhance rather than threaten family unity and collaborative problem-solving throughout marriage partnership and community involvement. But perhaps most revealing was Jessica's systematic effort to establish expensive lifestyle expectations and social obligations that would require ongoing family financial support and inheritance access that exceeded Marcus's individual professional income and investment resources, creating systematic dependency on family wealth, while eliminating family oversight and collaborative input that might prevent financial exploitation and systematic manipulation. Our wedding celebration and honeymoon plans reflect the kind of lifestyle and social presentation that will enhance our professional development and community influence, Jessica had explained, when discussing expensive celebration arrangements and luxury travel plans that exceeded reasonable budget parameters and suggested systematic planning for family financial exploitation and resource access. The expensive lifestyle expectations had been presented as professional development and social advancement opportunities, but they had actually represented systematic establishment of financial dependency and resource access requirements that would enable Jessica's long-term exploitation of family wealth while eliminating protective oversight and collaborative decision-making that preserved assets and maintained family unity across multiple generations. The systematic campaign that Jessica had implemented throughout their engagement period represented comprehensive preparation for family manipulation and resource exploitation that would culminate in the wedding day exclusion and humiliation that finally provided clear justification for implementing devastating financial consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources that would eliminate her access to wealth and lifestyle enhancement that she had systematically planned to obtain through marriage relationship exploitation. But Jessica had made the catastrophic mistake of underestimating exactly who she was attempting to manipulate and exclude from family celebrations and decision-making authority. The woman she had systematically dismissed and marginalized was about to demonstrate that some grandmothers possess professional expertise and legal authority that could eliminate your entire social climbing strategy, with systematic precision and permanent consequences that would serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar family manipulation and financial exploitation attempts. The systematic campaign had been comprehensive, the manipulation tactics had been sophisticated, and Jessica's strategic objectives had been clearly documented through months of behavioral observation and evidence collection that would support devastating financial retaliation and complete elimination of access to family resources that represented the most comprehensive social and financial destruction that anyone in our community's history had ever experienced. Have you ever witnessed someone implement such a systematic campaign of manipulation and family destruction while believing they were too clever to face consequences? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Because Jessica's systematic campaign was about to encounter exactly the kind of devastating response that demonstrates why targeting someone's family relationships and attempting to exploit their resources based on assumptions about powerlessness could be the most expensive miscalculation anyone pursuing social advancement through manipulation could ever make. If you're following this story of systematic manipulation and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll reveal exactly how I had been systematically documenting Jessica's behavior and building the evidence file that would support the most comprehensive financial destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever implemented in response to systematic disrespect and family exploitation attempts. The relationship between Marcus and me hadn't always been under siege from social climbers and financial predators. For 34 years before Jessica entered our lives, we had built something genuinely beautiful. A family bond characterized by mutual respect, collaborative problem-solving, and the kind of unconditional love that created both personal fulfillment and practical advantages for Marcus's professional development and personal growth throughout his entire adult life. Those golden years of our family relationship weren't marked by dependency or obligation, but rather by voluntary collaboration and mutual support that provided benefits for both of us while respecting individual autonomy and personal goals. Sometimes Marcus needed to make independent decisions and pursue separate priorities that complemented rather than conflicted with our family connection and shared values, and I had always encouraged his independence while offering guidance when he sought it. From the time Marcus graduated from Carnegie Mellon University's School of Architecture until Jessica began her systematic isolation campaign in late 2022, our interactions had been characterized by regular communication that enhanced rather than limited his individual development. I provided strategic guidance that supported his professional advancement without creating dependency, and we maintained family traditions that offered emotional satisfaction and practical benefits without requiring sacrifice of personal relationships or career opportunities that might take him in different directions from family expectations. Marcus had established himself as a successful architect at Brennan & Associates, one of the most prestigious design firms in our metropolitan area. His specialty in sustainable residential design had earned recognition throughout the regional architecture community, and his projects had been featured in multiple design publications and professional awards programs. But what made me most proud wasn't his professional success. It was the way he had achieved it, through individual effort and talent, while maintaining strong family relationships and ethical standards that reflected the values we had always shared. Our Sunday dinner tradition had begun when Marcus first moved into his own apartment after college graduation. Every week, he would come to my house on Elmwood Avenue for home-cooked meals and conversation that ranged from professional challenges and career planning to personal relationships and life philosophy. These weren't obligatory family visits driven by guilt or expectation. They were genuinely enjoyable gatherings that we both looked forward to and that provided consistent family connection without interfering with his individual social life and romantic relationships. "Mom, I actually rescheduled a client meeting today because I didn't want to miss our Sunday dinner," Marcus had mentioned during one of our regular gatherings in spring 2021. These weekly conversations help me think through challenges and opportunities in ways that I just can't replicate anywhere else. Your perspective on professional relationship management and strategic thinking has been invaluable for my career development. The weekly dinners had provided natural opportunities for me to share insights from my banking career and wealth management experience that could enhance Marcus's business development and client relationship strategies without crossing boundaries into inappropriate involvement in his professional activities. I could offer strategic thinking and analytical frameworks that helped him evaluate opportunities and challenges, while ensuring that all decisions and implementations were entirely his own choices based on his professional judgment and personal priorities. During Marcus's late 20s, when he had been considering whether to accept a partnership track position at Brennan & Associates, our discussions had provided comprehensive analysis of the financial implications, professional development opportunities, and long-term career trajectory considerations that helped him understand the full scope of the decision, while ensuring the choice was entirely his own based on personal goals and professional satisfaction, rather than family expectations or pressure. I want to make sure I'm evaluating this partnership opportunity for the right reasons and with complete understanding of both the benefits and obligations involved, Marcus had explained when seeking my perspective on the career advancement possibility. Your experience with professional relationship management and long-term strategic planning helps me understand considerations that might not be obvious from my current position within the firm. Quote, "The guidance I provided had been based on professional expertise and analytical capability rather than family authority or emotional manipulation. I helped him develop systematic approaches to evaluating the partnership terms, understanding the financial commitments and profit-sharing arrangements, and assessing whether the opportunity aligned with his personal values and long-term career goals. But the final decision had been entirely his own, based on individual judgment about professional satisfaction and career development priorities." When Marcus had ultimately accepted the partnership position, the celebration dinner we shared had been genuine recognition of his individual achievement and professional competence, rather than family pride and inherited advantages, or reflected glory from his success. I was proud of his accomplishment because it represented the culmination of years of hard work, strategic thinking, and ethical professional behavior that demonstrated character and capability that would serve him well throughout his career and personal life. The financial planning conversations that had become a regular part of our relationship weren't attempts to control his decisions or maintain inappropriate influence over his lifestyle choices. Instead, they were collaborative discussions that helped Marcus understand investment strategies, tax optimization opportunities, and long-term wealth-building approaches that could enhance his financial security and independence, while ensuring his decision-making remained entirely autonomous and based on personal priorities rather than family pressure or expectations. I appreciate having access to sophisticated financial analysis and investment expertise that helps me make better decisions about my own money and career planning, Marcus had said during discussions about retirement planning and investment strategy that had begun when he reached his early 30s. Your professional background helps me understand options and considerations that I might not recognize on my own, but I know the choices are always mine to make based on my own circumstances and goals. Quote, "The financial guidance had included comprehensive education about family trust fund structures and inheritance arrangements, not to create pressure or obligation, but to ensure Marcus understood his long-term financial security and could make informed decisions about career risks and personal investments without concern about basic security needs that were already addressed through family wealth management and estate planning." Marcus had always known exactly what he could expect to inherit from our family trust funds, including detailed information about asset values, distribution schedules, and the character requirements that governed access to family financial resources. This transparency had been deliberately designed to prevent exactly the kind of manipulation and financial pressure that predators like Jessica typically employed against family relationships. Because Marcus understood that his inheritance was guaranteed through professional legal arrangements that couldn't be influenced by marriage relationships or modified through emotional manipulation and systematic pressure. The inheritance discussions had been matter-of-fact conversations about financial planning and legal arrangements, rather than dramatic revelations or family secrets that might create pressure or inappropriate influence over personal decisions. Marcus understood that family wealth was designed to enhance rather than control his life choices, and that access to financial resources was contingent on maintaining character and family relationships, rather than specific career decisions or lifestyle choices that reflected his individual values and preferences. I've always appreciated that our family financial arrangements are designed to support my independence and personal goals, rather than create dependency or obligation that might compromise my decision-making, Marcus had mentioned during estate planning discussions that had become more detailed as he approached his 30s and began considering major life decisions about marriage and long-term relationship commitments. Knowing that my financial security is established allows me to make choices about career and relationships based on genuine compatibility and personal satisfaction rather than financial considerations that might influence my judgment for the wrong reasons. Quote, "The family financial arrangements had included specific protections against spousal manipulation and inheritance fraud, with legal structures designed to ensure that family assets remained under family control, regardless of marriage relationships or divorce proceedings. The trust fund documents included comprehensive language about family unity requirements and systematic respect for family relationships that had built and preserved wealth across multiple generations. These protective measures weren't designed to control Marcus's marriage choices or interfere with his romantic relationships, but rather to ensure that family resources continued to serve family values and priorities, rather than being exploited by individuals who might attempt to gain access to established wealth through strategic relationship development and systematic manipulation of family dynamics." Marcus had always understood and appreciated these protective arrangements because they enhanced rather than limited his autonomy in romantic relationships. He could pursue relationships based on genuine compatibility and emotional connection, without concern that potential partners might be motivated by financial considerations or inheritance prospects that could compromise the authenticity and long-term sustainability of romantic partnerships. "The family asset protection arrangements actually give me more freedom in relationships because I know that anyone who's interested in me must be genuinely interested in me as a person, rather than my inheritance prospects," Marcus had explained during conversations about dating and relationship development that had characterized his 20s and early 30s. "I can focus on finding someone who shares my values and goals, without worrying about gold diggers or people who might be motivated by financial considerations, rather than genuine emotional connection." The protective trust structures had been tested and proven effective during Marcus's previous serious relationship with Sarah Chen, an environmental engineer whom he had dated for almost 3 years during his late 20s. Sarah had been genuinely welcomed into our family and had participated in holiday celebrations and family gatherings with obvious comfort and mutual enjoyment, demonstrating exactly the kind of family integration and relationship development that the trust fund arrangements were designed to support and encourage. Sarah had shown genuine interest in our family history and traditions, had contributed meaningfully to family conversations and celebrations, and had demonstrated the kind of character and values that indicated long-term compatibility with family priorities and relationship standards. Her professional accomplishments in environmental engineering complemented Marcus's work in sustainable architecture, and their shared commitment to environmental responsibility and social consciousness reflected values that enhanced rather than conflicted with family principles and priorities. "Sarah feels like a natural addition to our family," I had mentioned to Marcus during conversations about his relationship development and long-term compatibility considerations. "She contributes to family gatherings and celebrations in ways that enhance everyone's enjoyment and demonstrate genuine interest in building relationships, rather than simply fulfilling social obligations or positioning herself for advantage." When Marcus and Sarah had ultimately ended their relationship due to career opportunities that would have required long-distance separation, the decision had been mutual and amicable, based on practical considerations rather than fundamental incompatibility or family disapproval that might have created lasting tension or negative feelings about family involvement in relationship evaluation. Sarah had continued to maintain friendly contact with our family even after the romantic relationship ended, demonstrating the kind of character and genuine family affection that indicated authentic relationship development, rather than strategic positioning for financial advantage or social status that might disappear when romantic relationships concluded. "I'll always be grateful for the way your family welcomed me and made me feel like a genuine part of your celebrations and traditions," Sarah had said during a conversation several months after her relationship with Marcus had concluded. "The experience helped me understand what healthy family relationships look like, and what I should look for in future romantic partnerships and family integration opportunities." Quote, The contrast between Sarah's genuine family integration and Jessica's systematic manipulation and exclusion tactics would eventually become stark evidence of the different motivations and character qualities that distinguished authentic relationship development from strategic social climbing and financial exploitation attempts. During Marcus's early 30s, as he had achieved greater professional success and begun considering more serious long-term relationship commitments, our conversations had evolved to include more detailed discussions about marriage considerations, family planning priorities, and the kind of partnership qualities that would enhance, rather than compromise, his personal happiness and professional development throughout his adult life. These discussions weren't attempts to control his romantic choices or impose family expectations on his relationship decisions, but rather collaborative analysis of relationship dynamics and compatibility factors that could affect long-term satisfaction and family harmony that would benefit everyone involved in expanded family relationships and social integration. I want to find someone who enhances rather than complicates family relationships, Marcus had explained during conversations about relationship priorities and marriage considerations that had become more focused as he approached his mid-30s. Our family connection is important to me, and I want any long-term partner to appreciate and contribute to family relationships rather than viewing them as competition or obstacles to overcome. The relationship standards that Marcus had developed weren't unreasonable expectations or controlling family requirements, but rather mature recognition that successful long-term partnerships required compatibility not just between romantic partners, but also between individuals and their extended family relationships and social networks that provided ongoing support and connection throughout adult life. Marcus had also begun taking greater interest in family financial management and trust fund administration, not because he was eager to access inheritance resources, but because he understood that family wealth came with responsibilities and stewardship obligations that would eventually require his active participation and leadership for maintaining family values and asset protection across future generations. I want to understand the family financial structures and legal arrangements, not because I'm planning to depend on inherited wealth, but because I recognize that these resources represent family legacy and values that I'll eventually be responsible for preserving and managing. Marcus had said during discussions about estate planning and generational wealth transfer that had become more detailed as he matured and began considering long-term family leadership responsibilities. The gradual transition toward greater family financial involvement had been natural and mutually beneficial, providing Marcus with sophisticated understanding of wealth management and asset protection while ensuring continuity of family values and stewardship principles that had preserved and grown family resources across multiple generations. These family financial education discussions had included comprehensive information about trust fund legal structures, investment strategies, and the systematic approaches to threat assessment and family protection that had characterized my professional career and continued to guide family wealth management and security planning throughout retirement years. Marcus had demonstrated genuine aptitude and interest in financial analysis and strategic planning that suggested natural ability for eventual family wealth management responsibilities, while also maintaining clear boundaries between family financial involvement and personal career development that remained focused on architectural achievement and professional satisfaction rather than dependence on inherited advantages. Learning about family financial management and asset protection strategies actually enhances my professional development because it provides sophisticated analytical frameworks and strategic thinking approaches that improve my business planning and client relationship management capabilities, Marcus had observed during training sessions that had prepared him for eventual family financial responsibilities while supporting his current professional growth and development. The professional development that resulted from family financial education had created additional common ground for our relationship conversations and collaborative problem solving, providing shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family connection while respecting individual autonomy and professional priorities that remained entirely under Marcus's control and direction. The collaborative approach to family financial education and stewardship preparation had also provided systematic opportunities for assessing Marcus's judgment and decision-making capabilities in complex situations that required analytical thinking and ethical reasoning that would be essential for protecting family wealth and relationships from systematic threats and manipulation attempts that might emerge in future family situations. Marcus had consistently demonstrated excellent judgment and strong ethical principles in financial education scenarios and strategic planning exercises, providing confidence that family wealth would continue to serve family values and priorities under his eventual leadership and stewardship responsibility for protecting assets and relationships across future generations. Marcus has shown exactly the kind of character and strategic thinking capability that justifies confidence in his eventual family financial leadership. I had noted in trust fund documentation that recorded systematic evaluation of beneficiary qualifications and stewardship readiness that would guide future wealth transfer and management transition planning. His combination of professional competence, ethical standards, and family loyalty provides comprehensive foundation for preserving and enhancing family wealth and relationships across multiple generations. But perhaps most importantly, the golden years of our family relationship had been characterized by genuine mutual enjoyment and emotional satisfaction that went far beyond financial considerations or practical advantages, to include the kind of authentic love and connection that made family gatherings and traditions genuinely rewarding experiences that enhanced rather than complicated our individual lives and personal development. The holiday celebrations during those years had been joyful occasions that brought together extended family members and close friends for celebrations that reflected our shared values and traditions, while accommodating individual preferences and scheduling requirements that respected everyone's personal commitments and relationship priorities. Christmas celebrations had included elaborate family dinners with traditional recipes and menu items that had been passed down through previous generations, combined with contemporary additions and modifications that reflected changing family preferences and dietary considerations that made celebrations inclusive and enjoyable for everyone who participated in family gatherings and traditional observances. The gift-giving traditions had emphasized thoughtful selection and personal significance, rather than expensive display or competitive spending that might create pressure or inappropriate focus on material considerations, rather than family connection and relationship appreciation that represented the authentic meaning and emotional satisfaction of holiday celebrations and family traditions. I always look forward to our family celebrations because they provide consistent opportunities for connection and tradition that enhance rather than complicate my individual life and professional responsibilities, Marcus had mentioned during holiday planning discussions that had characterized our collaborative approach to family gathering coordination and tradition maintenance. The celebrations feel authentic and meaningful rather than obligatory or stressful, which makes them genuinely rewarding experiences that I want to share with anyone I'm in a serious relationship with. The family celebration traditions had provided natural opportunities for evaluating romantic partners and assessing their compatibility with family values and relationship dynamics, while also creating enjoyable social experiences that enhanced rather than threatened individual romantic relationships through positive family integration and mutual support for relationship development and long-term compatibility. The summer vacation traditions had included annual family trips to our lake house in northern Michigan, where Marcus and I would spend a week each August enjoying outdoor activities, recreational boating, and leisurely conversations that provided uninterrupted time for family connection and relationship maintenance, without the distractions and scheduling pressures that characterized normal daily routines and professional responsibilities. These annual retreat experiences had been particularly valuable for maintaining family communication and collaborative problem-solving throughout Marcus's professional development and personal growth, providing systematic opportunities for discussing challenges and opportunities while enjoying recreational activities and natural settings that enhanced perspective and strategic thinking about life priorities and relationship development. Our annual lake house weeks have become some of my favorite family memories because they provide time and space for the kind of deep conversations and relationship building that's hard to maintain during busy professional schedules and daily responsibilities, Marcus had said during vacation planning discussions that had become more important as his career demands and social obligations had increased throughout his 30s. The lake house traditions had also provided natural opportunities for romantic partners to experience extended family interaction and participate in family activities that revealed character and compatibility factors that might not be obvious during shorter social gatherings or formal family events, that provided limited insight into personality and relationship dynamics under relaxed circumstances. Sarah Chen had participated in 2 annual lake house vacations during her relationship with Marcus, demonstrating exactly the kind of family integration and genuine enjoyment that indicated authentic relationship development and compatibility with family values and social dynamics that enhanced rather than complicated family relationships and long-term partnership potential. Sarah's enthusiasm for family activities and genuine interest in family stories and traditions shows exactly the kind of character and family appreciation that makes romantic partners welcome additions to family celebrations. I had observed during vacation experiences that had provided comprehensive opportunities for relationship assessment and compatibility evaluation under extended social interaction circumstances. The contrast between Sarah's authentic family integration and Jessica's systematic avoidance and manipulation of family relationships would eventually provide stark evidence of different motivations and strategic objectives that distinguished genuine romantic interest from systematic social climbing and financial exploitation planning that targeted family resources rather than individual relationship development. The professional mentorship aspects of our relationship during those golden years had been particularly rewarding for both of us, providing opportunities for me to share insights and expertise from my banking career while supporting Marcus's professional development and strategic thinking without crossing boundaries into inappropriate control or dependency that might compromise his individual achievement and personal satisfaction with professional success. Your experience with professional relationship management and strategic analysis has been invaluable for helping me understand business development opportunities and client relationship challenges that I might not have recognized or addressed effectively on my own, Marcus had explained during conversations about professional development and career advancement that had characterized our collaborative approach to strategic planning and problem solving. The professional guidance had included analysis of client relationship dynamics, strategic approaches to business development and partnership building, and systematic evaluation of career opportunities and advancement possibilities that required sophisticated thinking about long-term professional goals and personal satisfaction considerations that would affect life planning and relationship priorities. But perhaps most importantly, the professional mentorship had been based on mutual respect and collaborative analysis, rather than hierarchical authority or family control that might compromise Marcus's professional autonomy and individual decision-making about career development and business relationship management that remained entirely under his direction and control. The collaborative approach to professional development had created shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family relationships, while providing practical benefits for Marcus's career advancement and business success that demonstrated the value of family wisdom and experience, without creating dependency or obligation that might compromise individual achievement and personal satisfaction. The professional insights and strategic thinking frameworks that I've learned through our family conversations have enhanced my professional capabilities and business development success in ways that support, rather than replace, my individual effort and talent, Marcus had noted during career evaluation discussions that had recognized both family contribution and individual achievement in professional development and advancement. The golden years of our family relationship had created exactly the kind of foundation and mutual trust that made Jessica's systematic manipulation and exclusion tactics particularly devastating and obviously inappropriate compared to the healthy family dynamics and collaborative relationship building that had characterized our family interaction and tradition maintenance for over 3 decades of mutual support and genuine affection. Those years had established patterns of respect, communication, and collaborative problem-solving that made the contrast with Jessica's behavior obvious and disturbing to anyone who understood healthy family relationship dynamics, and the difference between authentic integration and systematic manipulation designed to eliminate family influence and oversight that might interfere with social climbing and financial exploitation objectives. The memories and experiences from those golden years would provide both emotional motivation and practical foundation for the systematic response that Jessica's wedding day humiliation would trigger, demonstrating exactly what someone lost when they attempted to replace healthy family relationships with manipulative control and social climbing that prioritized status and financial advantage over genuine character and authentic relationship development. Marcus had been genuinely happy during those years, with obvious confidence in family support and security that enhanced rather than limited his individual development and professional achievement. The systematic destruction of that happiness and security through Jessica's manipulation would provide comprehensive justification for the devastating financial consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources that her wedding day behavior would ultimately trigger. The golden era that Jessica had systematically destroyed represented everything that family relationships should provide: mutual support, collaborative problem-solving, enhanced individual development, and unconditional love that survived disagreements and personal changes, while respecting individual autonomy and supporting personal goals that reflected character and values rather than social climbing and financial manipulation. But those beautiful years were about to become evidence of exactly what Jessica had attempted to destroy through systematic exclusion and family manipulation, and her wedding day humiliation would provide the final documentation necessary for implementing the most comprehensive financial destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. The woman who had tried to replace 34 years of healthy family relationships with social climbing manipulation was about to discover that some foundations are too strong to destroy, and that attacking them could trigger consequences far more devastating than anything she had planned to gain through systematic disrespect and financial exploitation. Have you ever watched someone systematically destroy something beautiful only to face consequences they never imagined possible? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, because Jessica's story is just beginning, and those golden years that she dismissed as outdated family dynamics were about to become the foundation for the most systematic financial justice that anyone in our social circle had ever witnessed. If you're enjoying this story of family loyalty and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly how Jessica entered our lives and began her systematic campaign to replace genuine family relationships with social climbing manipulation that would ultimately cost her everything she thought she was gaining through strategic marriage and family exploitation. The golden years had been real, they had been beautiful, and they would provide both the motivation and the justification for ensuring that Jessica's attempt to destroy them would result in her own complete social and financial destruction, rather than successful exploitation of family resources and relationship dynamics that had taken decades to build, and would be protected at any cost. What Jessica had never suspected during her 18-month campaign of systematic manipulation and family exclusion was that every single instance of disrespectful behavior, every strategic comment, and every calculated attempt at family isolation had been meticulously documented through professional-grade evidence collection and behavioral analysis that would provide comprehensive justification for the most devastating financial consequences that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. My background in family wealth protection and systematic threat assessment had provided exactly the expertise necessary for recognizing manipulation patterns from their earliest stages and implementing comprehensive documentation protocols that would support immediate and permanent exclusion from family resources when Jessica's behavior finally escalated to the point where decisive action became both justified and necessary for protecting family assets and relationship integrity. The documentation process hadn't been casual record-keeping for personal reference, but rather professional-grade evidence collection that included detailed behavioral observations, systematic pattern analysis, comprehensive supporting documentation, and expert consultation that could meet legal standards for trust fund management and beneficiary evaluation in any court proceeding or legal challenge that might result from financial consequences and resource termination. From Jessica's very first Sunday dinner appearance, I had maintained systematic records of her behavior, conversation patterns, and strategic objectives, using the same analytical frameworks and evidence collection techniques that had characterized my 40-year banking career and family wealth protection expertise. Every concerning comment, every manipulation attempt, and every warning sign had been documented with professional precision and legal thoroughness that would support immediate protective action when circumstances finally justified intervention. The evidence files included comprehensive documentation of Jessica's systematic questioning about family financial arrangements, her strategic criticism of family traditions and decision-making processes, her deliberate scheduling conflicts and isolation tactics, and her escalating demands for control over family social arrangements and resource allocation that revealed her true objectives for marriage and family integration. But perhaps most importantly, the documentation included expert analysis and professional consultation that confirmed Jessica's behavior represented systematic manipulation and family exploitation, rather than normal relationship adjustment challenges or personality conflicts that might be resolved through improved communication and mutual understanding between family members working toward collaborative problem solving. Dr. Patricia Williams, the forensic psychologist who specialized in family dynamics and wealth-related relationship manipulation, had provided comprehensive analysis of Jessica's behavioral patterns and strategic objectives throughout the documentation period, confirming that her systematic approach represented classic predatory behavior designed to gain access to family resources while eliminating protective oversight and independent advice that might interfere with financial exploitation and control objectives. Jessica's systematic isolation tactics, authority challenges, and resource access demands demonstrate classic patterns of sophisticated family manipulation designed to gain access to established wealth through marriage exploitation. Dr. Williams had explained during professional consultation sessions that provided expert analysis and strategic guidance for protective intervention planning. The behavioral evidence indicates comprehensive planning for financial exploitation rather than genuine family integration and relationship development that would enhance family unity and collaborative decision-making. The expert psychological analysis had been supplemented by legal consultation with estate planning specialists and trust fund management experts who confirmed that Jessica's behavior violated multiple beneficiary requirements and family unity standards that governed access to Thornfield family resources under the discretionary authority provisions that protected family wealth from manipulation and systematic exploitation attempts. Attorney Michael Brennan, who specialized in family wealth protection and trust fund management, had reviewed the comprehensive evidence documentation and confirmed that Jessica's systematic manipulation and family exclusion tactics provided sufficient justification for immediate termination of financial support and permanent exclusion from family resources under the protective provisions that govern beneficiary access and family resource allocation. The systematic nature of Jessica's manipulation campaign and her obvious strategic objectives for resource access and family control clearly violate the family unity requirements and respectful behavior standards that govern access to trust fund resources, Attorney Brennan had explained during legal consultation about protective intervention options and immediate response capabilities. The documented evidence provides comprehensive justification for immediate termination of benefits and permanent exclusion from family financial support under the discretionary authority provisions that were specifically designed to prevent exactly this type of manipulation and exploitation. The legal analysis had confirmed that immediate financial consequences could be implemented without extended court proceedings or complex judicial review, requiring only formal notification to banking personnel and trust fund administrators who would immediately freeze designated accounts and terminate ongoing financial support arrangements that had been provided based on presumed family member status and commitment to family values and relationship unity. But beyond professional documentation and expert analysis, I had also implemented comprehensive technological surveillance and communication monitoring that provided real-time evidence of Jessica's strategic planning and systematic manipulation attempts, including digital communications and social media activities that revealed her true motivations and long-term objectives for family exploitation and resource access. The technological surveillance had been conducted through legitimate monitoring of family communication systems and social media platforms, where Jessica had documented her strategic thinking and manipulation tactics, while apparently believing that family members lacked the technical capability or legal authority to access digital evidence that could support protective intervention and financial consequences. Jessica's social media communications with her professional network and personal friends had included multiple instances of strategic commentary about family wealth access and manipulation tactics, revealing her systematic planning for financial exploitation and resource control that confirmed expert analysis about her predatory objectives and systematic manipulation campaign. Finally making progress on accessing the family money situation, Jessica had written in private social media communications with her college roommate during the engagement period. "The old lady is definitely the main obstacle, but I'm working on strategies to eliminate her influence and establish my own control over the financial decision-making. Marcus is already starting to prioritize our relationship over family input, and I think I can complete the isolation process before the wedding if I handle things correctly." The digital communications had provided comprehensive evidence of Jessica's strategic objectives and systematic planning for family manipulation, demonstrating clear intent for financial exploitation and resource access that violated all family unity requirements and beneficiary standards that govern trust fund access and family financial support throughout established legal arrangements and protective protocols. Additional digital evidence had included Jessica's systematic research into family financial structures and inheritance arrangements, revealing extensive investigation into trust fund legal documents and asset protection protocols that indicated comprehensive planning for circumventing protective measures and gaining unauthorized access to family resources through legal challenges and systematic manipulation of family relationship dynamics. Been researching family trust structures and inheritance law to understand what options might be available for challenging the current arrangements and gaining better access to resources. Jessica had documented in private communications about family financial analysis and strategic planning. The protective language is pretty comprehensive, but I think there might be opportunities to argue for spousal rights and contemporary family structure recognition that could override some of the traditional control mechanisms. The systematic research into family financial structures had confirmed Jessica's strategic objectives for resource access and her sophisticated understanding of legal challenges and manipulation tactics that could potentially threaten family asset protection and wealth preservation if allowed to continue without decisive intervention and protective response. The wedding day itself had provided the final and most devastating evidence of Jessica's true character and systematic disrespect for family relationships and collaborative traditions that had characterized Thornfield family celebrations and milestone events throughout multiple generations of wealth building and community involvement. The wedding ceremony at Riverside Country Club had been elaborate and expensive, funded entirely through family trust resources and wedding support allocations that had been provided based on presumed family unity and collaborative celebration planning that would enhance rather than threaten family relationships and social traditions throughout community involvement and milestone recognition. But instead of demonstrating appreciation for family financial support and collaborative celebration planning, Jessica had used the wedding day as an opportunity to implement the most systematic and public humiliation of family relationships that anyone in our social circle had ever witnessed, revealing her true priorities and strategic objectives through behavior that eliminated any remaining justification for continued family resource access and financial support. The systematic exclusion from wedding photography had been the culmination of months of strategic planning and preparation designed to establish Jessica's social dominance and eliminate family representation from permanent celebration documentation that would reflect her vision of appropriate family hierarchy and social recognition, rather than collaborative celebration and inclusive family tradition maintenance. I want the wedding photos to reflect our social circle and professional network, rather than including everyone who claims family connection, Jessica had instructed the professional photographer, using language that revealed her systematic planning for family exclusion and social status demonstration, rather than celebration of family relationships and tradition continuation. But the most devastating evidence of Jessica's character had been her direct verbal humiliation when I had approached the photography area during family photo arrangements, hoping to participate in celebration documentation that had traditionally included comprehensive family representation and multi-generational recognition throughout milestone events and social celebrations. "Excuse me, who are you?" Jessica had said loudly enough for wedding guests and family members to hear. Despite having known me for over 18 months, and having attended dozens of family gatherings and social events where my identity and family relationship had been clearly established and recognized. When I had responded that I was Marcus's mother and hoped to participate in family photography, Jessica had delivered the systematic humiliation that would provide final justification for immediate and devastating financial consequences that would eliminate her access to family resources while demonstrating the catastrophic cost of publicly disrespecting someone whose professional background and legal authority had been specifically designed to protect family wealth from exactly her type of manipulation and exploitation. "Oh, you must be confused," Jessica had announced in front of assembled wedding guests and family members. "We're doing photos for immediate family and important guests only. You look like just some random old lady who wandered in from the street. The photographer doesn't have time to include everyone who shows up at events." The public humiliation had been systematic and deliberate, designed to establish Jessica's social authority and eliminate family recognition while demonstrating her complete control over celebration arrangements and social hierarchy that prioritized her vision over established family relationships and collaborative tradition maintenance. But Jessica had made the catastrophic mistake of publicly humiliating someone whose professional expertise and legal authority provided immediate capability for eliminating her access to the family financial resources that had funded her entire wedding celebration and would have supported her anticipated luxury lifestyle and social advancement throughout marriage relationship and community involvement. Within minutes of the photography humiliation, I had initiated systematic communication with trust fund administrators and banking personnel who implemented immediate freezing of all accounts and financial arrangements that had been providing lifestyle support and celebration funding based on presumed family member status and commitment to family unity and respectful relationship maintenance. This is Margaret Thornfield, requesting immediate implementation of Emergency Protective Protocol 7. Under discretionary authority provisions for documented violation of family unity requirements and systematic beneficiary disqualification. I had communicated to trust fund administrators using established emergency response procedures for immediate asset protection and financial consequence implementation. The emergency protocols had been activated within 15 minutes of the wedding day humiliation, immediately freezing all trust fund accounts and financial support arrangements that had been providing wedding celebration funding, honeymoon expense support, and ongoing lifestyle enhancement resources that Jessica had been systematically planning to access throughout marriage relationship and family resource exploitation. The immediate financial consequences had included termination of the $847,000 European honeymoon funding that had been allocated for luxury travel and accommodation arrangements, elimination of the $650,000 wedding reception and celebration support that had been providing comprehensive venue and service coordination, and permanent exclusion from all future family financial resources and lifestyle support that had been contingent on family unity maintenance and respectful behavior standards. But perhaps most devastating was the systematic reversal of all wedding-related expenses and celebration funding that had been provided through family trust resources, requiring immediate reimbursement of approximately $1.3 million in combined wedding and honeymoon expenses that exceeded Marcus and Jessica's combined annual income by more than 400%, and would require decades of debt management and financial obligation that would eliminate their anticipated lifestyle enhancement and social advancement throughout marriage relationship development. The financial restitution requirements had been implemented through legal authority and contractual obligations that had been established as protective measures against family resource exploitation, requiring immediate repayment of all trust fund allocations that had been provided based on presumed family unity and collaborative relationship development, that Jessica's behavior had systematically violated and eliminated through manipulation and systematic disrespect. Attorney Michael Brennan had provided immediate legal coordination for financial consequence implementation and asset protection protocols that ensured comprehensive recovery of all family resources, while maintaining complete legal compliance and documentation that would withstand any potential challenges or appeal attempts that might be initiated in response to financial consequences and resource termination. The systematic documentation and evidence collection provides comprehensive justification for immediate financial consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources, Attorney Brennan had confirmed during emergency legal consultation and protective intervention coordination. The behavioral evidence clearly demonstrates violation of family unity requirements and beneficiary standards that justify complete termination of financial support and permanent exclusion from trust fund access under established protective provisions. The legal consequences had also included systematic investigation and documentation of Jessica's manipulation campaign and strategic exploitation attempts that would prevent similar behavior toward other wealthy families, and would serve as permanent legal precedent for protecting family resources from systematic manipulation and predatory relationship development throughout community social circles and professional networks. The immediate aftermath of financial consequence implementation had been swift and comprehensive, eliminating Jessica's access to all family resources while requiring immediate lifestyle adjustment and financial obligation management that would affect her social advancement and professional development for decades, following the wedding day humiliation and systematic manipulation campaign. The European honeymoon cancellation had required immediate travel arrangement modification and luxury accommodation forfeitures that resulted in substantial penalty payments and lost deposits, while the wedding reception funding termination had created immediate vendor payment obligations and service contract defaults that affected Jessica's social reputation and professional credibility throughout community business networks and social organizations. But perhaps most devastating was the systematic exposure of Jessica's manipulation tactics and strategic exploitation attempts throughout our social circle and professional community, where the wedding day humiliation and subsequent financial consequences had become comprehensive documentation of predatory behavior and systematic family exploitation that would affect her social standing and professional advancement throughout her career and community involvement. Marcus had been devastated by the immediate financial consequences and the systematic revelation of Jessica's manipulation campaign and strategic exploitation objectives that had characterized their entire relationship development and engagement planning, from initial family introduction through wedding celebration and anticipated marriage lifestyle enhancement. "I can't believe I was so completely manipulated and used," Marcus had said during family reconciliation conversations following the wedding day financial consequences and comprehensive evidence revelation. "Jessica's systematic approach to family isolation and resource access was so sophisticated that I never recognized the manipulation patterns until seeing the documented evidence and professional analysis that revealed her true motivations and strategic objectives." The family reconciliation had been immediate and comprehensive, based on Marcus's recognition of systematic manipulation and genuine appreciation for family protection and professional expertise that had prevented devastating financial exploitation and resource theft that could have affected his professional reputation and personal security throughout marriage relationship and community involvement. "I finally understand how much family wisdom and protection I lost when I allowed Jessica to systematically isolate me from collaborative decision-making and independent advice that had always provided strategic guidance and protective oversight," Marcus had acknowledged during family relationship restoration discussions that re-established healthy communication patterns and collaborative problem-solving that had characterized our family dynamics for over 3 decades. The professional counseling and family therapy that followed the wedding day financial consequences had provided comprehensive analysis of manipulation tactics and systematic exploitation attempts that enhanced Marcus's understanding of predatory behavior and protective measures that would prevent similar manipulation throughout future relationship development and family resource management. Dr. Patricia Williams had provided specialized therapy and education about family manipulation and wealth-related exploitation that helped Marcus understand systematic recognition of warning signs and protective strategies that would preserve both family relationships and financial security throughout future romantic partnerships and social development. The systematic manipulation that Jessica employed represents some of the most sophisticated family exploitation tactics that target established wealth through strategic relationship development, Dr. Williams had explained during therapeutic consultation and family education sessions. Understanding these patterns and warning signs will provide crucial protection against similar threats throughout future social relationships and family resource management. The comprehensive legal victory and systematic financial consequences had resulted in complete restoration of family relationships and permanent protection against future manipulation attempts, while providing systematic deterrent against similar predatory behavior by other social climbers and financial opportunists who might consider targeting Thornfield family resources for systematic exploitation and manipulation. Jessica's systematic social and financial destruction had become comprehensive warning throughout our community's social circles and professional networks, demonstrating the devastating consequences that could result from attempting to manipulate family relationships and exploit established wealth through marriage relationship development and systematic family isolation that eliminated protective oversight and collaborative decision-making. The wedding day humiliation that Jessica had intended as demonstration of her social dominance and family control had instead triggered the most systematic financial destruction and social consequences that anyone in our community's history had ever experienced, proving that publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their powerlessness and irrelevance could be the most catastrophically expensive mistake that anyone pursuing social advancement through family manipulation could ever make. The final documentation and evidence preservation had been systematic and comprehensive, creating permanent legal precedent and community awareness that would protect other wealthy families from similar manipulation and exploitation attempts, while serving as lasting deterrent against predatory behavior and systematic family targeting throughout social and professional networks. The trust fund structures and protective measures that had enabled immediate financial consequences and comprehensive resource recovery had been recognized throughout the wealth management industry as representing best practices for family asset protection and systematic threat response, that balanced security requirements with family autonomy and relationship quality preservation. Margaret Thornfield's systematic approach to threat detection and comprehensive protective response represents exactly the kind of professional expertise and strategic preparation that enables families to maintain their wealth and relationships across multiple generations. Federal financial analyst Robert Martinez had written in Professional Evaluation that became part of industry training materials for wealth protection and family security management. But perhaps most importantly, the systematic justice and comprehensive financial consequences had demonstrated that some elderly women possess professional expertise and legal authority that could destroy criminal lives with surgical precision and permanent effectiveness, proving that appearances could be deceiving, and that underestimating someone based on age and perceived vulnerability could trigger devastating retaliation that would serve as permanent warning to anyone else who might consider similar exploitation and manipulation attempts. Eleanor Whitmore had spent 40 years building exactly the kind of professional expertise and systematic resource access that would enable comprehensive response to criminal threats and family exploitation attempts, and Jessica had become the perfect case study in why attempting to manipulate and publicly humiliate someone whose background and capabilities had been specifically designed to catch and destroy people exactly like her was the most catastrophically stupid social and financial mistake that anyone in the pursuit of wealth and status could ever make. The wedding day that was supposed to launch Jessica's social climbing campaign and establish her access to family wealth had instead become the trigger for systematic financial destruction and permanent social consequences that eliminated her lifestyle advancement and community influence, while providing lasting demonstration that family relationships and collaborative respect represent more than social obligations. They represent the foundation for wealth preservation and security that would be protected at any cost against systematic manipulation and predatory exploitation. The story that had begun with systematic manipulation and family destruction had ended with complete justice and permanent protection, proving that some grandmothers control financial resources and legal authority that could eliminate your entire social climbing strategy with devastating precision and lasting consequences that would serve as comprehensive warning to anyone else who might consider targeting family relationships for systematic exploitation and financial manipulation. Margaret Thornfield had protected her family wealth and relationships through exactly the kind of systematic response that demonstrated why professional expertise and strategic preparation could provide devastating capability for eliminating threats and ensuring that attempts to destroy family unity would result in complete destruction of the perpetrators, rather than successful exploitation of resources and relationships that had taken generations to build and would be preserved through any means necessary. Have you ever witnessed such a complete reversal of fortune where someone's attempt at manipulation and control resulted in their own systematic destruction? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Because this story proves that real power often operates quietly until someone makes the mistake of forcing it into devastating action, and that publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their capabilities could be the most expensive social mistake you'll ever make. If you enjoyed this story of systematic justice and comprehensive consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more stories about people who discovered the hard way that some elderly individuals possess exactly the right background and resources to destroy anyone who makes the mistake of targeting them for manipulation and exploitation based on false assumptions about powerlessness and irrelevance. Remember, real financial power often operates through expertise and legal authority rather than obvious display, and the most dangerous people are often those who appear most harmless while possessing exactly the right professional background and systematic capabilities to eliminate anyone who attempts to exploit their families or manipulate their relationships for personal advantage and social advancement. Never underestimate someone based on appearance, age, or perceived social position, because you never know when that quiet elderly person might control millions of dollars in family assets and possess 40 years of experience protecting wealth from people exactly like you, with the legal authority and professional expertise to ensure that your manipulation attempts result in systematic financial destruction and permanent social consequences that serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar exploitation and family target. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.